Third down and goal. Floated. Robinson. Touchdown, Atlanta. Throw is picked off. Intercepted by Bates. It was high for Mumfield. Bates. Pick six.
But here they are with a 14-0 lead.
That was a 61-yard punt. Here is a shot downfield. Flags on the play. The ball is intercepted by Xavier Watts. Here's Robinson, right side. Nice cutback. He's gone. Can anybody catch him?
Not tonight.
McCreary chasing. Won't get there. Touchdown, Atlanta. 93 yards. He got it. Split the uprights. And the Falcons back on top by 3 with 21 seconds left.
Thank you, Atlanta. Right? I mean, come on. Thank you, Atlanta. DJ Humphrey still looking out for the Chiefs. Appreciate that guy. Huh? Once a Chief, always a Chief, as they say, right? Those 3 quarters of action really paid off for the Chiefs. Doing what he could do last night to help out the draft position this year for your Kansas City Chiefs. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. 913-912-4810. Text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. We will get into today, starting today and tomorrow, next couple days, some of the bigger stories of the year, revisiting them, focusing on the sports, focusing on the local part of it as well. If you want to weigh in, 913-912-4810, any of your bigger sports stories of the year that we may get into over the next 4 hours, mixing those in along the way. We'll do that today on a Tuesday and then tomorrow on New Year's Eve as well. We're going to talk with Braden Gall coming up at 11 o'clock. He is our college football insider. Get his thoughts on the quarterfinals coming up over the next couple of days, and also Mizzou's Bowl, Chip Lindsey, some other things going on in college football. We'll talk with Myron Metcalf coming up at noon. He is our college basketball insider from ESPN. Also filling in this morning for Chris Canty on ESPN Radio,
nice.
Which you heard on ESPN Kansas City when Todd was at a commercial on New Day with SS Lebo.
Stephen St. Lebo.
Yes, that's right. That was this morning, which was a really good show as well, with all the different guests that he had on with the, Judea and Bo Richter, Jesse Newell the last hour. Fun conversations around the Chiefs and the NFL. But we'll talk with Myron Metcalf coming up at noon, and again, get into some of those bigger sports stories of the year. 913-912-4810. Let's start with this. Because the Chiefs season is over, we know that. All they're doing is playing out the string for draft position and doing some of the math. I think 9 to 12 is where their draft position is going to be, which is good.
Atlanta winning helped a lot.
It did. It absolutely did. So anywhere from 9 to 12, it looks like the Chiefs could draft. Their strength of schedule is not working in their favor because they've played a schedule with better teams. And so the worst strength of schedule, that's the first tiebreaker in the draft order. So anybody that's going to be tied at 6-11 with the Chiefs or 7-10 with the Chiefs, it's the team that played the easier schedule that gets the nod on the tiebreaker. It's not a head-to-head. Well, they beat you head-to-head, so you should get the tiebreaker over them. It doesn't do that. It's strength of schedule, and the Chiefs right now have a strength of schedule that's above 500, whereas whoever is going to be at 8th, whoever wins with New Orleans and whoever they're playing, whatever it is.
My gosh,
I
the
looked it
Chiefs
up
in the same category as New Orleans this year.
Yes, I know. I looked
that
it up.
Hurts.
I looked it up last night, and I was doing it. Tankathon has a pretty cool program that they have that you can go and put in a team and then put another team and see which games you need to be rooting for that would help your strength of schedule to be a higher draft pick, which is crazy. All of those things. So I looked at it a little bit. They'll be drafted anywhere from 9 to 12. We'll find out what that looks like this weekend. But a lot of draft conversation will go on. But I'm going through that last night as I'm watching the Falcons and Rams game for a little bit more than a rooting interest. but also rooting for the Falcons to beat the Rams because, as you said, it certainly helps the Chiefs' draft position because you want them to get the highest pick as possible. Anywhere from 13th to 8th before that game last night, 13 to 8 is a third-round pick. So if you're picking 13th and you want to move up to the 8th spot, it'll cost you a third-rounder with the math and the different NFL draft sheets that they have that have all the numbers that go along with that. So it'd be about a third-round pick, just for general clarification of 13 to 8. And so I'm watching that and seeing the Falcons do what they're doing. And I am somebody that has said, and I'll continue to say, first and foremost this offseason, I think it's do what you can for Patrick Mahomes. I know the defense needs to be fixed. The defensive line specifically needs to be upgraded from a solid defensive end in Karlaftis, a once elite defensive tackle that's still really good in Chris Jones, and some also-rans. And somebody with some promise in Ashton Gelati, and Omar Norman Lott that we never really got to see because of the knee injury, and that's unfortunate. But they need an upgrade there. But as I've said, I think going into this offseason and next year, like to me, it's all about Patrick Mahomes. What do you do to make sure that this season where he has been hit more times through 14 games than he has been hit in any time in his career, and he's 30 years old now, the older he gets, the more he gets hit. You would think it'd be the exact opposite, but that's not the case right now. And it's because he is trying to do more and more to help out the team because he's having to do more and more to carry the team to a victory. So what do you do to help out Patrick Mahomes? Is it an offensive line? Is it running back? Is it wide receiver? Is it, a scheme change or a scheme upgrade? All of those things could certainly be part of it. But I'm watching last night, Sterling. And I see Bijan Robinson doing what he's doing.
Sure.
229 scrimmage yards last night. And is as big, if not the biggest reason the Falcons won that game. I mean, they had a pick six, so that helps.
Offensively, he was the reason.
But offensively, he had 229 of the 345 yards they had last night offensively. 229 yards from scrimmage. 345 as a team for the Falcons. And I'm watching that. And I'm going, what would a player like that do for this Chiefs team, for the offense? And I know that some of the best running backs in the league are out of the playoffs. Bijan is not playing after this week. Derrick Henry might not be playing after this week.
Jahmyr
Gibbs not playing. Jonathan Taylor is now out. At one point, he was talked about being in the MVP conversation, but he's not going to be playing in the postseason either. So some of these great running backs we see in the NFL are not carrying their teams to victory, carrying their teams to the playoffs. But nobody around the Chiefs feels like a running back would need to carry this team. Bijan Robinson is not the reason why they're not in the playoffs. It's Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins. And some other things that may go along with it that those that cover the Falcons on a daily basis can go and get into and explain. But Bijan Robinson with Patrick Mahomes, healthy all year, is not a 7-9 team. It's a little bit different when you can hand the ball off at the 7-yard line to Bijan Robinson, who the play is to the right, and he dodges a tackler, heads back to the left, and then sees a seam to the right and flies through that and isn't caught. The Chiefs running backs would have been tackled 4 times before he got past 5-yard gain. I mean, they would have had to you could have had the Chiefs running backs take 4 attempts at that exact same route that Bijan took to get there, and they would have been 0 for 4 in finding that route to the opening.
Sure.
And that's where...
No, Kareem Hunt would have found it, but...
He just couldn't have got there quick enough. He would have seen it and be like, oh, darn it, tackled from behind. That was so close. Pacheco would have just ran straight and right into the first guy he saw. Because, God bless him. I mean, Pacheco, there are some people that try to be something they're not. You try to be a different type of player, but you're just not that guy. And bless Pacheco for understanding what he is. He doesn't try to dodge tacklers. He doesn't try to juke anybody because he can't. He's not a guy that can juke. He sees something in front of him. I'm not going to show the leg and try to jab step and, hop over here. I'm just going to go through you because that's all I can do is just go through you. So credit to him for understanding the type of running back he is. But he's not seeing that particular hole or creating that particular hole. The other big run that he had when he broke a tackle behind the line of scrimmage and then slipped away from another and picked up, I think it was 32 yards, and he was credited with 35 yards over expected. It was a 32-yard gain. He was given 35 yards over expected. That means he was expected to get -3. But he created that. And I know the Chiefs have lots of different issues on this team. And I know the smart thing is to go and draft a defensive line, defensive end, game-wrecking edge, or defensive tackle to put with Omar Norman-Lott if he's healthy, and then Chris Jones, and just have this crazy pressure up the middle, Sterling.
Sure.
I know that is the smart thing to do. But you can't help but just envision what it would be when the offense is out there if there was a Jeremiah Love in the backfield that is viewed as the best running back prospect since Bijan Robinson, that type of difference maker in the backfield, what that would mean. And it's hard to be there with the 8th, 9th, 10th pick. And if Jeremiah Love's on the board and just have this evidence of like the difference he could make on any given play on offense as opposed to a really good defensive tackle or defensive end that you can chip with the running back or have a tight end over there that could sort of neutralize that particular player on different plays, where it's hard to neutralize a running back if you can scheme him to get one-on-one or hand the ball off to him and just let him go to work and give Patrick Mahomes a rest from time to time.
So I think it's interesting, and there's been a lot of pushback myself. I'm anti-running back first round unless it is the obvious, unless it's Barry Sanders, basically. And Bijan is about the closest we've seen to...
If you're sitting there at number 9 and Bijan's on the board, and it's legitimately Bijan on the board, do you know what he is right now?
You're taking Bijan.
It's hard because you don't know what Jeremiah Love's going to be.
I don't think Jeremiah Love's Bijan. I think Bijan is a little bit more of the outlier, if you will. But I did do a fun little. There's a fun thing we can go through together right here. This is a fun little game.
Let's do fun games
because I'm going to go through the first round running back since 2015.
Okay, and
then we're going to break it down to where the Chiefs might draft and your thought process, because my thought process actually changed a little bit.
Okay,
here are first round running backs from 25 to 15. Ashton Genty, Amarian Hampton. We can't judge those guys much too early. Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, those work. Najee Harris, no, that's not a good one. Travis Etienne, not a good one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not a good one. Josh Jacobs, maybe. I'd probably say that was okay. Saquon, good one. Rashad Penny, no. Sony Michel, no. Leonard Fournette.
More like Samsung Michelle, am I right? TCL Michelle. Sorry. Insignia Michelle.
That was pretty good. Leonard Fournette. That was tough.
But still, he was like the 3rd or 4th pick. So, I mean.
Yeah, he was 4th.
4th, yeah. So, I mean, with that value. But if you're just going first round overall, just in general,
McCaffrey, yes.
Yes.
Zeke, I'd still say yes, because he was so good early on.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley. Almost yes for early on, but again, that you have a 4-year.
He was the best rusher in the league when he was healthy.
Yeah, when healthy.
You get a 5-year window.
But that's really what you're getting with running back anyway.
So I was going to count it as a yes.
I think it's a yes.
Melvin Gordon, no.
No.
And then once you get past, honestly, 2015, there were a lot more running backs taken, and you had a lot more bad ones, and I think it's unfair because I think the era had shifted. So
it's kind of like when the high school guys in the 90s first started going and getting drafted, like Kobe, and you got Garnett, and you got a couple of those guys, and it's like you were taking Dwight Howard, LeBron, you were taking high school guys because they could compete right away. And then NBA teams fell in love with them and just started taking all these high school kids.
Yeah, and
it was like you're like, okay, that guy shouldn't have been drafted. That guy wouldn't have been drafted in some of these other drafts. Now you're just being stupid because you don't want to miss on Kobe or the other guys. And so it got worse and worse and worse the more high school guys that were drafted.
So I'm trying to be fair here because again, I'm pretty much team anti running back first round for the most part.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
So
Yes.
after that list, you would say, well, no, you shouldn't take a running back in the first round. I think most people would say that's not a good enough hit rate for a lot of those guys we even give credit for about 5 good years, right? So I think the majority would say no. But here's where it's interesting. You break it down into let's say top 15, because that's where the Chiefs will be drafting, right? Bijan 8, Jahmyr Gibbs 12, Saquon Barkley 2, Leonard Fournette 4, Christian McCaffrey 8, Zeke number 4, Todd Gurley number 10.
So that was 8, 12. What were those picks again?
Sorry, we'll do top 12 because you said the Chiefs, the lowest they could be is 12.
9 to 12 is
so we'll do 12. Ashton Jeanty, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley. Those are top 12 running backs, top 12 pick running backs. Only one stands out, and that's probably Fournette.
Fournette, yeah.
And then we don't know with Jeanty, it's too early.
Yeah.
But
what he's doing with that, like what he did the other day,
yes,
with that crappy offensive line and crappy offense overall, like I don't think he's going to be as good as what he was.
At Boise State, obviously.
We talked about it on draft day. We had our who's going to be better than what people think and who's not going to be as good as people think. And my not going to be as good as people think was Ashton Jeanty. And he may still be amazing,
sure,
if the Raiders give him some semblance of an offensive line. But I mean, we'll see. The jury is definitely still out on that one.
But so after all those I just gave you, top 12 picks, well, it's only been one bust, and that bust wasn't necessarily a bust, but Fournette.
Yeah. I mean, you get more. You get way more of what seems like an actual difference maker at that position when you're drafting that high over the last 10, 11 drafts.
Here's who it took out. It took out Najee Harris,
yeah,
Travis Etienne,
yeah,
Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
because those were all in the 20s and 30s, right?
Josh Jacobs, which was
he was like 18, 17, 18, 24, like I said.
Takes out Rashad Penny, Sony Michel. So far, there's only been one hit in this round, and that's Josh Jacobs. And then Melvin Gordon. There was only one hit outside of the top 12.
I think Melvin Gordon.
In first-round running backs.
I think Melvin Gordon, what was he, in the 20s?
15.
Okay, never mind. I was going to say, I think Melvin Gordon, if he was like 25 or 26, you might have made a case because he was a touchdown machine at times with that Chargers team. At least he was a fantasy star.
Yeah, and you're right. Maybe that's unfair. But
at 15, I'm not taking Melvin Gordon.
It literally took out all of the busts.
Yeah.
I mean, 12 and up, the hit rate is insane. And then the rest of the first round has been bust city.
Essentially buns for where they were drafted. And some just in general buns.
Yeah, again, Travis Etienne right now I would take, but he's not. He wasn't worth a first-round draft pick.
He's also a free agent now, but whatever.
Would you sign up for the Chiefs' first-round pick, running back-wise, to be Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's maybe a fair, because
right, and that's what you're sort of, and I think that's what Sterling's getting at is if you're signing up for one of these at 9, 10, 11, 12 in the draft, wherever you're picking, is that worth that over what could be a weaker edge draft at the top end where there's no, Will Anderson, which wouldn't be there at where the Chiefs are drafting anyway if Will Anderson was but if Reuben Bain's there with the Chiefs, which he may be there, but it's okay, so Reuben Bain, we talk about the outliers of these running backs, right? Reuben Bain would have to be an outlier of having double-digit sack seasons with arms that are 31 inches or smaller. It's never happened. Defensive ends that have that small arms and rely a lot on power aren't guys that are getting double-digit sacks. He would have to be the outlier. He's a train wreck at times, but he also wasn't necessarily a sack machine at Miami in a weaker conference in the ACC. So he's going to grade out amazing. He's going to be, as Carl Peterson would say, I never enjoy watching guys run around in their underwear. He's going to be a guy that looks amazing doing that and grades out well, except for the arm length.
Yeah. That's McDuffie.
Right, as sort of height. But arm length matters when you got tackles that can reach out and hold you at bay. If you can't get into the push-pull, and speed to power and power to whatever it might be, just those different moves, is it that guy?
Or not a Spags guy then.
Right. Bailey from Texas Tech, who seems to be a pass rushing phenom, but might be a little smaller for Spags, so probably not a Spags guy. Or Kendrick Falk, who seems to be the best overall edge, who's the best defensive end against the run, that has potential to be a really good pass rusher, but hasn't realized that potential yet, which is Spags with flashing red lights all over it. This dude's big and all the measurables, and he sets the edge, and he will stop the run, and he's developing as a pass rusher. And he could be a monster pass rusher if those things come along. You are betting on him and his improvement and his pass rushing matching what the traits and the athleticism and arm length and size and everything says that it should be. At minimum, you're getting a defensive end that's going to set the edge and stop the run and be one of the best and the best in the draft at doing that. Is it that, or Gibbs or Bijan, or Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley? Let's even go Ezekiel Elliott, because if you were to rank those guys outside of Fournette and say just go with the hits, I mean, I think Zeke was awesome. Or Todd Gurley. If it was one of those guys.
Yeah, that's what it comes down. Would you take 4 or 5 years of greatness?
Yeah.
And then that's it? Or would you take the longevity that we're seeing from Saquon? And again, if you pick a running back, it's 5 to 6 years. We're not. I don't think Bijan's doing this in, I don't know,
4 or 5 more years.
2030, 2031, 2032.
Yeah. He's not doing it at the new Arrowhead.
But seriously, that's something. I think edge rushers, you that second contract is where it really comes in, because again, you're talking about a lot of these guys even.
But that's where it gets to the positional value. Is edge.
Saquon not on his original team. Josh Jacobs not on his original team. I mean, of the hits.
Yeah.
Fournette wasn't on the original team. Christian McCaffrey not on the original team. Zeke eventually left. Todd Gurley eventually. I mean, again, you're talking first round, 4 to 5 years of greatness before you're probably moving on.
Well, let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about that too, because what does that mean, and is that something that the Chiefs should be focused on and saying, whoever you get with the pick 9 to 12 has to be somebody that's going to be around for 10, 11, 12 years, or has to be somebody that's going to give you impact over the next 4 or 5 years when this Patrick Mahomes prime is still going on? Is that the level and the focus? Because they did a lot for that three-peat.
Yeah.
They did a documentary. They got the band holding. It was three-peat. It mattered that year. Well, it's going to matter over the next 4 or 5 years with Mahomes, because he's going to be 34, 35, 36 years old at that point. And that's when you're going to be out of the prime of Mahomes, building more around him. But what do you do to take advantage of what you have in playmaking, high-level Patrick Mahomes? I think he's going to be fine with the knee injury, but when he comes back from that and gets fully healthy and everything, I want to talk about that and what it means if we look at it and say, well, running back, you're only getting 4 or 5 years of maybe top-level play as opposed to these others. Well, let's talk about as opposed to as it relates specifically to the Chiefs and a decision this offseason. We'll do that next.
Speaking of first-round draft picks, FanDuel Sportsbook is my first-round draft pick. That was cheesy, I know, but doesn't matter because FanDuel Sportsbook is that badass. It is live in the Show Me state. They're kicking things off with an incredible offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets, win or lose. Yes, you heard that right. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets, win or lose. So whether it's football, basketball, hockey, or more, you can bet it all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. They are always doing phenomenal profit boosts as well. Kirk Cousins may have let me down last night, but that's okay because Bijan Robinson and Kyron Williams, they helped me out. Both had 50-plus rush yards. That was fairly easy, actually. That was very, very nice. But also, college football playoffs coming around. You think I'm not going to go to FanDuel and throw a little something down? Oh, yeah, because I will be smoking a cigar on the Missouri side. And it's live, so I can do it all right there. So download FanDuel today or head to FanDuel.com/Missouri to join in on all the excitement. Because Missouri, it's time to play your game with FanDuel.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Braden Gall coming up at 11 o'clock. Myron Metcalf at noon. We were talking about, positional value certainly matters when you're drafting as high as the Chiefs are going to be drafting, or just any team in the NFL that's going to be drafting that high. And what a running back costs versus what a high-level edge rusher costs that's when you're getting into, okay, positional value. You're not having to pay for that particular guy to give you that level of play, of what it would cost in the open market. So is it better to go and pay for a high-level running back and draft a high-level edge rusher, or draft a high-level running back or pay for a high-level edge rusher? You're going to get more bang for your buck by paying a high-level running back and drafting a high-level defensive end rather than the opposite, because you're paying $14-15 million for the running back and you're getting the rookie contract for the edge, as opposed to paying $35 or $40 million for the edge and drafting a rookie contract for the running back. But as we're talking about the high-level play of the first 4 or 5 years, and it's like, okay, that's what you're going to get, and then do you have to move on? Whereas, we think of Chris Jones taken in the second round and has been a Chief, his entire career. And maybe a Chief for life. Or maybe he plays, 26 and 27, and then he goes somewhere else for the next couple of years, plays out the string, tries to get another ring or wherever, for lesser money, and he doesn't play every single year of his career with the Chiefs. Who knows? But if we're saying, is it worth it, Sterling, to take a running back because you may only get 4 years or 5 years with that option? Probably not the option, because they're probably going to want to sit out, hold out of training camp.
Yeah, I know. We always talk about, well, you have the 5th year, then you have the 6th year, you have the franchise tag, and you're like, that's not how it works. Yeah. Players just sit out now.
It's rare. It's happened, but it's rare for a player to play through the 5th year option. It's happened, but it's rare. And I want to bring up a local player for the Chiefs who's currently on the Chiefs, who was a first-round pick at a premium position and has given you 4 awesome years of football and has the 5th year option. And the decision this offseason is pay Trent McDuffie or trade Trent McDuffie. If they were to trade Trent McDuffie, maybe they don't get a first round. Let's say they just get a second rounder for Trent McDuffie, which people might be upset about because of what Sauce Gardner got, but the Jets had to eat a decent portion of that money. They're not going to get 2 first rounders for Trent McDuffie. If they get 1, they'd definitely take it. The return matters. The return on a trade definitely matters here, because I don't think you're trading a running back for what you would be getting for a quarterback in Trent McDuffie. You're not going to get that.
McCaffrey, I think, was the only one that got something back, and almost every other player. I mean, Saquon was free agency. Josh Jacobs was free agency, or was that a trade? I think it was free agency. Najee Harris, free agency. And the other guys, Leonard Fournette,
so
I don't know.
You're not trading those guys for a high-level pick like you can for a cornerback. So that matters. But if Trent McDuffie's on a different team next year, is that a wasted pick? Did they miss on Trent McDuffie in the first round because all they got was 4 years of high-level play?
No.
Right.
That's a hit.
It's a hit. The return that you get back, again, that does matter. Because if you say we're going to take the 24th pick or 21st pick, why do I not remember?
He was 18th, I thought.
No, he was in
22nd.
22nd? Is that why he wears 22?
Actually, that would make a lot of sense.
I really should remember that, obviously, for many different...
21.
21. Like I said, 24, 22, 21.
We got there.
Yeah, we did, yep.
I did year 18 because we kept saying 18 earlier.
I know. That's what it was. Yeah, so I'm like, Josh Jacobs was taken 18th. He was taken 24th. Of course. Trent McDuffie with the 24th pick. He was taken 21st. Like I said, 21st.
You know why? I was listening to Chili Peppers, the song She's Only 18. Chili Peppers.
Okay. And that's
Please don't cut that out, because that's going to sound way bad out of context. It's a Chili Pepper song.
Cut.
Yeah,
it's not me.
It's going to sound great. That's one of our best cuts from that will play on 2026 on January 2nd of 2026, otherwise known as this Friday.
Next year.
Yeah, we're going to play that next year. We are. Getting a second round back. So if you spend the first round pick, number 21, on a cornerback that gives you great play for 4 years, 3 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl wins, and him being a big part of those, and then you get a second round pick back for him, that's a great pick. It's a great pick.
It's an amazing pick.
A running back, you're not getting that, plus you would be taking it at 9, 10, 11, 12 to do that. But if you're getting high-level play, this is a big if. You cannot guarantee anything. Because if you say, well, if you guarantee it's Bijan Robinson, then I'll come back and say, okay, well, I guarantee David Bailey is Max Crosby. Okay, well,
Again,
yes, I get it, of course.
Here's the bucket. Ashton Genty, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Zeke, Todd Gurley. Those are top 12 running back picks. Would you take that risk?
And the risk reward is, would it be better to go and sign Breece Hall or ETN or Javonte Williams or Rico Dowdle or some of those and then take the best badass defensive lineman that's there at 9, 10, 11, 12? If that's Peter Woods from Clemson, if it's David Bailey from Tech, if it's Kendrick Falk from Auburn, if it's Reuben Bain, if it's Reese if he was there for some reason, is it better to do that or take the best cornerback available? Because at that point, you might get the number one cornerback on the board at pick 9.
Or Carnell Tate.
Or the best wide receiver on the board in Carnell Tate.
And so this is where I'm at. There. I'm with the...
Or Tyson from Arizona State. It's just beauty isn't people would argue Tyson's the best.
BPA. And because I do think that, again, as we talked about ETN, not worth it at 25, but as a free agent when he's getting paid, I don't know, $7 million a year, yeah, I think it's worth it because you can use that top 12 pick on an edge rusher where the value, Karlaftis is fairly paid. I know people hate to hear it. That's the going rate for that. That's the going rate for that production. Yeah. I did it when you were gone. We went through that. Again, is he exceeding? No. That is the going rate for Karlaftis. That's $22 million a year, right? Running backs aren't getting paid $22 million a year.
Yep.
And so you're going to have to, you can use that on an edge rusher, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're saving a lot of money with that rookie contract, right? Rookie contract first round, that's going to be pretty equivalent, pretty close to whatever you're going to pay for a good running back already on the open market. So for me, it's the cost analysis of where can I save the most money? Where's the value?
Yeah.
And that to me is you sign a running back in free agency for 3 years. You draft the premium position where wide receiver, same thing. Look at the cost for going for wide receivers right now. I mean, fair or not, you have to use some economics when it comes to the NFL and positional value. Running backs, economically speaking, yes, they're starting to make a little bit of a comeback. It's just not there yet. That's where you save the money.
Let me ask you this question, and this is, just throwing a wrench in the whole thing. When we say BPA, best player available, right?
Yeah.
What if you're sitting there at, let's just go in the middle there, they're pick number 11, 10, whatever. And Reese is gone, Woods is gone, Love is gone, Tate's gone. Let's say for some reason quarterbacks aren't taken this year.
Yeah.
And that would suck if this was a year where quarterbacks didn't go in the top 5. That would be brutal. Like, as many quarterbacks as possible in the top 5. Let's go Fernando Mendoza. Let's go Dante Moore. Let's go Ty Simpson.
Everyone
Light
create
it up.
your Twitter account into like a draft analyst specialist and start talking about all these quarterbacks.
Right. Let's do it, man. If those quarterbacks didn't go and all of those picks are taken, and you're sitting there at number 10 and best player available is Caleb Downs, safety at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Maybe the number one player, Jeremiah Love and Caleb Downs. It's like back and forth depending on who you look at. Now, there's others that are thrown in there. Arvell Reese, some may think that he's better. There's 1,000 different people out there that cover the draft.
Tied in from Oregon.
Sadiq. But like best player available on defense, if that's what you're looking at, and it's Caleb Downs. And you say, here's your Kyle Hamilton for Steve Spagnuolo. Here's your guy that can take Shamari Connor out of the slot. Here's your guy that allows you not to sign Brian Cook and spend the $10 million.
Well, you swayed me when you said taking Shamari out of the slot.
Yep, done. Okay, great. I don't even care what happens after that. Now, free agency could dictate some of this. If they re-sign Brian Cook and they've got Connor and Jaden Hicks, they're not going to be taking Caleb Downs.
Correct. If they sign Najee Harris, or not Najee,
I hope not.
Travis Etienne, you're probably not.
You're not taking Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
At that point,
if Travis Kelce does come back, You're not taking Sadiq.
I would still do that if they think Sadiq, because Travis Kelce's come back for 1 year. We know that. And if Travis Kelce's coming back, he's not coming back at the money he's making.
How about that?
Right
If Kelce doesn't come back, then I think Sadiq becomes a legit possibility.
Oh, 100%. Yes, he would definitely be a guy that you'd be looking at, just sort of depending on things. Or do you think he's a guy that if somebody wants to jump up and take, let's say you pay ETN or Breece Hall. Let's go. Breece Hall's a favorite, right?
Yeah,
Wichita kid. Let's say Breece Hall. You pay Breece Hall. You sign him 3-year deal, 4-year deal, but it's really a 3-year deal for the running back. You're sitting there at number 9, and Jeremiah Love's on the board. You're not taking Love because you just signed Breece Hall. But that could be the opportunity where a team behind you goes, holy bleep, Jeremiah Love ain't going to be there at 10, and the Chiefs don't want a running back. Let's move up and get Jeremiah Love, an opportunity for you to slide back. And if you slide back far enough, maybe Kenyon Sadiq becomes a player that's available and is the best player at that point, and not, well, Sadiq is there, but Caleb Downs is there, and Kendrick Falk is there, and David Bailey is there. It's like, I don't know that I'm really going to take, the tight end if some of these other what could be big-time difference makers on defense could be. Because also you could go out and sign Kyle Pitts. You could. I'll spend another season off-season advocating for him. I like Kyle Pitts.
I think
or Njoku or Isaiah Likely.
So I've said for a while, I think Njoku's actually the better fit. I like Kyle Pitts a ton. I know people will say, well, he's a receiving threat like Kelce. Kelce did it more with intelligence and body control and just route running. Yeah. Kyle Pitts isn't a good route runner. He's an athletic freak,
man.
And it doesn't feel like what the Chiefs covet.
Yeah. And they coveted in small wide receiver.
Well, yeah, if you're a small wide receiver, they love you. Yeah. But it doesn't feel like again, I would love Kyle Pitts. I'm not arguing against that. I'm just saying the realistic aspect of it is I feel like the Chiefs wouldn't go after a guy like Kyle Pitts because of that. And also I feel like his contract is going to be...
He's priced himself out of probably what the Chiefs would go.
Correct.
So they might be looking more in Njoku or Isaiah Likely.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that's fine. If you go that route, then you wouldn't need to grab a Kenyon Sadiq. But at that point, if you're there and Love's on the board, which I don't think Love's going to be there when the Chiefs pick in 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't even think it's going to be a question that I think he's going to be gone. I think people are going to see Bijan, and they're going to see this, and Ashton Genty going early last year. I think Jeremiah Love being viewed as, again, the best running back prospect since Bijan Robinson. Maybe not as good as Bijan, but since Bijan, and going, well, this is our guy. This is the guy that changes things for us. If you're, so
who's ahead? That you'd have the Jets,
Vegas that needs a running back.
Well, no, because Jets. I'm just looking just really quick.
Jets.
I don't know who has their first round or not. So let me just go through this quick.
Yeah,
Jets don't need a running back because they need a quarterback.
I'll give you the lists, the teams that are in front of the Chiefs right now. Vegas right now has the number 1 pick.
Not a running back.
Giants, the number 2 pick. They've got Cam Scatterbo.
Not a running back.
The Jets, the number 3 pick.
They need a running back, but they're not because they have Isaiah Davis, and they need a quarterback more than anything else.
Titans have the number 4 pick right now.
Maybe, but Tony Pollard has done great things.
There. Yeah,
they probably
need a lot more. They probably need a lot more help around Cam Ward rather than just
probably offensive line or wide receiver. Probably Carnell Tate.
Number 5, Arizona.
They need a running back
and a quarterback.
But
right, number 6, Cleveland. They don't need a running back.
No, they just drafted Judkins.
Number 7, Washington.
Maybe.
I mean, if they like Bill enough.
I don't think they did. I mean,
He's gone from starting to then not playing to then now he got the ball, the entire game last week.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then New Orleans, the Saints.
They probably do because
they just took a quarterback, so they don't.
That might be running back. It might be Saints,
but it also could be a team behind the Chiefs that goes, we're going to trade up, Dallas. We're going to trade up and go get Jeremiah Love because that's what Jera does.
Yeah.
So we're going to trade ahead of it. I think somebody's going to trade up or somebody ahead of them is going to take him. That's just what I don't think he's going to be there. So I don't even think it's going to be a decision. But it is fascinating to see what a difference a guy like that on the field does for the Falcons. A team that, yes, is not going to the playoffs, but it's not because of him. And we'll take a timeout. We got a quick segment on the other side. But this is what I want to ask you guys real quick, and it'll be a quick answer. So we'll do it on the other side of the break. But what Bijan has done for the Falcons compared to what the Chiefs running backs have done for them, obviously it's a huge difference. But when we say, yeah, but if you have Bijan, they're not even going to get the opportunity to do that with the Chiefs. He won't even get the ball like we talked about with Breece Hall. Well, I want to talk about that. So we'll discuss touches. Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Touches for Bijan versus the Chiefs running backs. We'll do that next. Well, the holidays are done, and maybe you are just exhausted from the holidays. And, I guess New Year's Eve is also, part of the holidays. But you know what I'm getting at when it comes with the family. And maybe you're exhausted, maybe you have no energy. Maybe that's because you just did a lot, or maybe that's because your testosterone level is low. Maybe you didn't have energy through the holiday season, and you're wondering, why not? This used to be something you looked forward to. Well, Heartland Men's Health can help if you're wondering what your testosterone level is. Just schedule an appointment and a consult with Heartland Men's Health today, and they will do your lab work with you, have your results within 30 minutes. Sometimes it's like 15 minutes, and you know exactly what your testosterone level is, because guys in their early to mid-30s start losing 2 to 3% of their testosterone production every year. It happens gradually. Before you know it, you don't feel the same way that you did when you're in your 20s and your 30s. I didn't necessarily make a New Year's resolution, but a couple of years ago in January, I did say, you know what, let me just figure out what my testosterone level is. I've been wondering for a decade. And 2 years later, working with Heartland Men's Health, they have been fantastic. And let me tell you one small little thing about working with Heartland Men's Health as opposed to, I hate scheduling appointments. I hate doctor's offices and doing all those things, because then it's like, is this day open? Well, I don't know. We got the kids. And honey, is that day open? No, it's not. Now I got to go back and ask them and figure all those things out. It is a nightmare for me to even think about. Heartland Men's Health, I just walk in. You just walk in whenever you're available, whenever you're free. There's no scheduling an appointment. Once you're working with them, it's great. Now, you do need to schedule the consult, but that is easy to do. The cost of the appointment is $99, includes medical consult, T and PSA test, and if you sign up for testosterone treatment the day of your appointment, you don't pay a dime. It is free. Heartland Men's Health, 3 locations to serve you: Overland Park, Independence, between Blue Springs and Lee Summit, and North Kansas City. Call them today, 844-447-6600. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, 844-447-6600, or visit heartlandmenshealth.com. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Braden Gall coming up at 11 o'clock. Get his thoughts on the college football playoff. Whittingham heading to Michigan. The Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Electric.
So awesome, man. Just ripping off the packaging of the Pop-Tarts.
Do I want Mizzou to make the college football playoffs or the Pop-Tart Bowl more? That is tough.
I saw that video of them throwing the gold jackets on the.
It's phenomenal, dude.
I don't know how that's
salute.
not. It's just.
Yeah, thanks for sending that last night in the group text, Darcy. I appreciate you.
It
was so
man.
great.
That was nice.
So good, man. Putting a bow on what we've been talking about, and it's really just the jumping off point of what Bijan was able to do last night. And obviously it's going to be a big conversation of, signing a running back, drafting one, signing an edge, signing a wide receiver, drafting those guys, whatever it might be. It's a humongous offseason and a big draft. But the conversation around Breece Hall was, okay, you give up a third rounder for Breece Hall. Thank God they didn't. You give up a third rounder for Breece Hall, and is he even going to get the touches that would make it worthwhile for that draft pick, for that value? But the pushback and the counter to that is, well, will he take advantage of those touches more than what you already have?
Sure.
So, the Kansas City Chiefs running backs have accounted for 29% of the total yards this year for the Chiefs. The running backs are 29%. Bijan Robinson himself, and by the way, Tyler Algier gets lots of carries too.
Yeah, he's very good.
Bijan Robinson himself has accounted for 41% of all of the total yards for the Atlanta Falcons this year.
That's incredible.
Himself. Not he and Tyler Algier combined.
Yeah,
it's just
incredible.
Bijan Robinson. Again, this is Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, Braden Smith, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Brashard Smith and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. 29% of the Chiefs' total yards. I'm going to give you the Chiefs' running backs touches. 374 combined. So when we talk about, they're not even going to get opportunities. Breece Hall wouldn't even get the opportunity enough with Andy Reid. 374 touches combined for all of the running backs this year. Rushes and receptions. How many for Bijan this year? Now, he's got 700 more total yards from scrimmage this year than the Chiefs running backs combined. Bijan himself has 700 more.
I'll say 275 because he probably has about 200 rushes and 75 receptions.
Collectively, I'll say 310.
Okay. You're both off, but you were seeing where the game was going.
Yeah.
He's at 348 this year.
Oh, wow. So
in
that's
touches.
That's more than I thought. I'll look it up.
So he's at 348 because he's got 70 receptions.
Yeah, that's
this
what I'm
year.
going to say. He's got to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's at 348 touches, which, by the way, is 30 fewer than the Chiefs running backs.
Oh, yeah, he's 272 rushes. That's more than I thought. 'Cause I thought Algier would have a lot.
But again, it's 30 fewer touches than the Chiefs running backs combined for Bijan Robinson. But yet still accounting for 41% of their total yards. And that's what sort of the point is. It's Andy Reid wouldn't even give him the opportunity. Well, Andy Reid is giving his running backs more of an opportunity than the Falcons are giving Bijan Robinson. It's part of also keeping him healthier with Tyler Algier getting some of that and him, But again, he's touched the ball 30 fewer times and has 700 more yards from scrimmage than all of the Chiefs running backs combined. That's the difference in what it can mean for the Chiefs offense and Patrick Mahomes. Is it worth that level of 4 years is what you get into? Or one of the best defensive ends or defensive tackles in the draft that are incredibly rare to find in the NFL, but so is a guy like Bijan or maybe Jeremiah Love. Braden Gall coming up next.
It's time to catch up with our college football insider, Braden Gall.
Nobody cares.
Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Everyone has their own taste, and mine is just better.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes and Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock, hanging out on this New Year's Eve, the 30th. We'll get into some of the bigger stories from the year. Now, we will leave out the biggest story of the year, which we know is obviously the stadium and the decision there for the Chiefs to move to Kansas, because it's been talked about for a week straight. So I don't think we need it. Biggest story of the year, what was it? I think it's the Chiefs choosing Kansas to go and build a new stadium. Why isn't anybody talking about this, Michael?
Did you hear about that, Jason?
Well, I was on vacation, and I got a lot of texts of like, hey, you picked a good week to take a few days off. Said, why didn't know like a 3-year decision would come down when I'm gone? Thanks, fellas. Let's bring in Braden Gall here talking some college football with us and new stadiums, because Braden has no idea what it's like to talk about new stadiums in a city and public-private financing and partnerships and things like that. I thought it was odd, though, that the Titans moved over to Kentucky, right across the state line over to Kentucky. That was weird, and boy, the things they have in common, crazy. What's up, brother?
When I read the details of the new deal, having spent 2 years arguing about whether or not, because the Titans Stadium deal is portrayed as the largest public investment in the history of any sports league. Mm-hmm. And there's like a technicality that's true, but it's not really. Like, it's just missing total context for the entire deal. But it's truly a great deal for the city from a financial standpoint. But if you've decided to be a pro sports city. But when I read the details of the Kansas City one, like, I sent it immediately to a bunch of Metro Council people that voted against the stadium. And I was like, see, look, it could have been way worse.
Yes. Yeah. No, it is interesting what's going on with that. And there's a lot of people that have written a lot of things about what this means for the Kansas side and what it means for the Missouri side as well with the Chiefs moving. So once the vote was no back in April of 24, it was going to be the two sides, and whoever's going to give them the most money is going to win. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. And as I've said, whether it's a good economic model or not, I've called it and will continue to call it, it's the pro tax. Do you want to pay the pro tax or not? Do you want to be a pro city? Yeah. If you don't want to be a pro city, they'll go somewhere else and another city will pay them and give them what they want for the stadium. I want to be a pro city, pro tax it is.
Well, 100%. And Nashville, so the history of Tennessee is really interesting, because they put it to the vote in the citywide referendum in 1996, and it was like, I think it was like 72% said, yes, we're going to pay to build the original stadium. Back then it was $250 million. The problem is 30 years later, the Titan Stadium is completely dilapidated, completely just antiquated in every possible and conceivable way. Like, you have to walk all the way to the upper deck, can't see the field from any location. It's just atrocious. It's a terrible building. It's falling apart. The city was on the hook legally for renovations, any possible infrastructure or updates to the stadium, which could be in the dollars. Like, how much does a vacation cost? Like, you could renovate it for like $1 billion, or you could renovate it for $2 billion, but like, it's going to cost you a whole lot of money. All that was going to be on taxpayers. So the new deal for the Titan Stadium, like, there's a sales tax increase for the hotel tax, which is largely paid for by tourists that visit Nashville, which is a great way to leverage the tourism industry. There's a sales tax increase in the actual area around the stadium. So that is money the city is foregoing, but it is not money that would exist without the stadium. That is the pro tax that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And so, $700 million from the NFL, $500 million from the ownership group. Like, it's a $2.2 billion stadium, and they like to say largestly public finance stadium in history, but it's all funny math, because we actually saved over $1 billion as a city and aren't really adding any new like forms of expense to the city. So like, you have to get into the details of all this. Buffalo Stadium versus the Charger Stadium versus the Falcons Stadium versus the Chiefs Stadium. Like, the devil's in the details of all this stuff. And so if you're the Chiefs or the Titans, like, I don't think the Titans ever had an opportunity to actually threaten to leave. I would assume the Chiefs never really had like any actual leverage of leaving the area. You know what I mean? Like the Titans were never going to leave Nashville. So the people in the city were sort of saying, like, well, why don't you just call their bluff? Like, let them do it. And like, if we had called their bluff, kind of like it sounds like the voters did in 24 in Kansas City, right?
Yep.
Like, if you'd called their bluff, like, they would have said, that's fine, we're staying here, and we need a $1.2 billion renovation, and the city has to pay for it. Because that's the legal contract that was in place.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And, like, that's a way worse deal than what they have today.
Yeah,
so, like, the devil's totally in the details.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it was like you agree and you vote yes for the new stadium, or you vote no and they just charge you a billion or so to renovate anyway. So I'd rather have the new one. And that's the thing. Like last year when people voted no, and it could have been largely because of the Royals, and it could have been largely because it was an incredibly uninspiring proposal by the Chiefs for the $1 billion renovation that they were going to have on last year's vote. And the issue with that is, and I said at the time, like, the Chiefs are not offering an inspiring plan, because the Chiefs are looking at this and saying, yeah, this is for 20 years, because 20 years from now, we're going to have to build a new stadium. So why are we going to do all of these crazy bells and whistles here when in 15 years from now, we're going to start going through the plans of building new in a different place? So it's uninspiring. They voted no, and the Chiefs said, great, okay, now we can open this up to really get all the bells and whistles over in Kansas that we want, that we were going to have to do in 20 years anyway. But it was going to be $1 billion to, have an activation zone. It was going to be $1 billion to add some luxury suites and make tailgating better. Like, okay, well, it's already great. Like, I don't think the Chiefs fans are going, you know what would be great at Arrowhead? What if we made tailgating better?
If you told me you were like going to run some like public transit lines directly to the stadium, maybe put some green space and some trees and some actual things around it instead of a parking lot, I'd be like, oh, that's improved tailgating. Like, that's an improved tailgating experience. But I don't think that was what was going to happen.
No. And so now they're over in Kansas, and I don't disagree with a lot of people that are talking about the financial implications and how it's not great for all of these different things from an economic impact. That's fine. That could be the case, but I'll pay the pro tax, and it's over here in where I live in Kansas now, and I've lived in about 15 different areas on both sides of the state line, the northern part of Kansas City, southern part of Kansas City, downtown, east, west, everywhere. And everywhere I've been, I'm like, well, if I have to pay the tax, I'll pay the tax. And it was, what they did with the map of the star bonds was great, because I think they outlined a small country for what is now going to be the star bond area.
What is the? Let me ask you a question. What is the actual like mile difference, like the actual miles between the old location and the new, like Arrowhead and the new location?
20, maybe. That's a great question. I don't think I've ever actually looked it up to see what the difference in miles is. I'll look it up here, or I'll make Michael do it, or somebody else. Somebody will text in. Somebody knows it right away.
Well, if you just said it, I mean, it's 2020. It's still 2025, but soon to be 26. All you have to do is say it like you know exactly what it is.
Oh, it's 21.7
miles.
21.7. Yeah.
Okay. Man, that's nice.
That's it. Why? I mean, that's an easy question. I've had that answer for years. Let me tell you. Braden Gall is our guest. The Missouri Tigers are about 25 miles away from having a good offense. I'm not sure how quickly they can get to that. What do you think of, if at all? Maybe your answer is I don't. But what do you think of Chip Lindsey and the offensive coordinator that's hired by the Missouri Tigers and Eli Drinkwitz? He coached Stidham for a couple of years. I went back and looked at that. Jarrett Stidham in the 2 years Lindsey was the OC, 64% completion percentage, 36 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. And then he coached Drake May the year he was drafted. So he's had a couple of pretty good quarterbacks. That's the main thing for me. Eli needs to get this right, because they can't have another year with no quarterback and an offense that continues to let down what is a really, really good defense.
Yeah, I think that's right. Lindsey's one of those guys where, like, I don't get inspired when I hear the name, but I also think you could do, like, way worse. Like, you could do significantly worse. So, like, there's like sort of like a war on coordinators to some degree, and I don't mean that like lower, like all three capital letters is what I mean. Like WAR, above replacement kind of deal. And I think what's interesting is he's probably a top 15 to 20% coordinator in college football. And I think that's a really good place to be in 2026 in the SEC, because you can take risks and you can end up with somebody who's terrible, who's an unknown. And that person might end up being Buster Faulkner. Like, you could end up with someone who's, kind of unproven, but like could be a star. Or you can get someone who's a lifer, who's been around a long time, who kind of knows what they're doing, and you minimize risk, and you have a baseline of expectation. Like I have him in the same category as like Rhett Lashley and Gus Malzahn and all these people when they were kind of coming up as coordinators. And so I think you could do a lot worse. What's really fascinating about your question, and this is like the nerd / college football reporter inside of me, which is like when you say 25 miles from an offense, like when I think of college football, I think that's pretty close. Like that's just down the street. Like that guy's probably committing. That guy's probably committing to your school if you're only 25 miles away from his high school or from his home. Yeah. Like, imagine if you're Lubbock and you're Texas Tech. You're like hundreds and hundreds of miles from any good offensive player. So like my nerdy brain was like, oh, that's not very far. They're close. All right, that's great.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, technically, you could say, well, they have been because all they got to do, it's not 20 miles, but go to St. Louis, go to Kansas City, and grab a couple of really good athletes and running backs and wide receivers, and it's like, oh yeah, they've done that, and they still can't throw a touchdown pass.
Grab a couple offensive linemen from Oklahoma.
I mean, from Missouri originally. Like, it's been 15 quarters since they threw a touchdown pass, Braden. 15 quarters for a touchdown pass, and that's
here's how much I don't watch bowl games. Are 4 of those in a bowl game?
No, they yes, 4 of those were the bowl game. Yes, against Virginia.
Okay. Didn't even know they played.
They lost to Virginia 13-7. It was a great game.
Oh, that's right.
You really missed out on what was a
I don't care.
Game.
It's so fascinating. Not to totally take your question and answer a different one, but it is so utterly fascinating how little. Like I used to not care about bowl games, but I kind of had to watch them because they still looked and kind of acted and functioned like real football games. But now that we have 12 teams in a playoff, the amount of care that I have around any of these bowl, like I am taking my children today in 38-degree weather because the Tennessee Volunteers happen to be playing a bowl game less than 4 miles from my house.
There you go.
And so I'm going to take my kids dressed in orange to go to a bowl game. We're going to tailgate and maybe have an adult bevy, and we're going to have a good time. Not the kids, just me and the wife.
Okay, I was going to say, let's do it. Let's party.
But, like, if that was, to your point about 20 miles, if they were just in, like, Murfreesboro, 25, like, if it was a 45-minute drive, I don't know if I'd go. I don't know if I'd take the kids.
Yeah, well, so I get it.
It's truly, so, like, my long story short, like, 4 of those quarters don't count to me. 4 of those quarters don't count. But I get your point, and I do think Eli, every coach that has to, there's these, every tenure kind of has these moments where you're sort of like, well, is this going to take another step? Is this legit? Are we in a place where we're kind of, it's a stock market growth chart line. It's not linear, but it's kind of up and to the right at all times. And like James Franklin at Penn State was kind of up and to the right for the vast majority, even when he was getting criticized and struggling. And then it felt like it wasn't. And so you always reach a point of a tenure in a coach's career arc at a place like Missouri, who with a guy like Eli, who was a really solid coaching candidate, but not necessarily considered the home run at the time. There's always these like layered in like questions, and I think he's done nothing short of a really, really good job. And so the question is sort of like, is there an evolution? He's done a good job hiring coordinators in the past, by and large. And so, like, he's done a good job at the portal. He's done a good job developing 2 stars. He's done a good job landing the recruits in state, like you talked about. He's kind of done everything. And so the question is, like, what's the next step look like? And I think you could do a lot worse than Chip Lindsey as far as a coordinator goes in terms of experience and sort of understanding. I think the offenses mesh well together. And so I think it's really interesting. Like, Missouri becomes one of the more interesting teams in college football next year because it feels like there's a lot of questions, even though you should have a lot of positive feelings about where the program is at.
And I never thought I would see a season or a program with Missouri that you say, they were competing with some of these teams, and with Alabama and Oklahoma, teams that, in the college football playoff, one of them still playing, like they're in the mix against these teams, and it's because they have everything but the quarterback. Like for Missouri, it was like, if you're going to be competing with these teams, you got the quarterback right. And maybe you're not getting over the hump because you don't have the other pieces and the line of scrimmage and some of those difference-making, play-making NFL draft picks day 1, day 2, but you got the quarterback right. In the last couple of years, it's like they're competing, because they've gotten so many other things right, but they're competing even in spite of their quarterback at times, which is a real surprise. That if they could figure that out, that'd be great. Ahmad Hardy is coming back. Currently, I don't know, the conversation he had with Eli Drinkwitz on the sideline at the end of the game, maybe he was asking him, can I get out of that contract?
I think you and I have talked about this. Like, there's the blue bloods, there's the national championship contenders, whatever term you want to call, like the big boys, whatever. The very next, I've always called them, like, the upper middle class in college football is the Michael Vick schools.
Oh, yeah.
Where if you get the transcendent quarterback, sort of once in a generation talent, that you can compete for a national title, or at least kind of pretend to compete for a national title. Russell Wilson at Wisconsin, Michael Vick, obviously at Virginia Tech, Pat White at West Virginia. I would have put Chase Daniel in that group.
Right.
You get the right coach. You get the right coach with the right quarterback at the right time, and like an upper middle class program can almost win a national title. I am curious. Like, I still think that holds true. I think, number one, the differences are it's a lot easier to find a higher caliber quarterback. Maybe not a Michael Vick talent, but it's easier to find a Chase Daniel today through the portal and through other schools' development than ever before. And number two, like, this is what this playoff is all about. Like, if Fernando Mendoza in Indiana play in a national championship game, or Trinidad Chambliss in Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin, a transfer quarterback, play in a national title game, I mean, Texas Tech plays in a national title game. Like, they are showing you that the upper middle class, like, it, not only Texas Tech is showing you don't have to hit on the quarterback necessarily. You don't need a superstar, but you can pay and spend money and rebuild your roster every year with portal players, in particular along the defensive line, and find success. And so, Miami and Oregon are kind of like in the middle. A third of their top 35 players are from the portal. Like Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama, like 5 of their players that play are in the portal. And then you look at Ole Miss and Miami, like Ole Miss and Texas Tech and Indiana, and it's like over half of your top 30, 35 players are from the portal. So, like, Missouri, like, they're more in the Texas Tech mold to me, which is really good program, lots of great fans, some pockets of success, and some upside there, great brand inside the conference that's got all kinds of money. You don't necessarily need the historically great quarterback. And I don't even know if James Franklin was historically great quarterback. That was just a really good team that ended up playing in the SEC championship game. But, like, the point is I don't think you need your Michael Vick at places like Missouri anymore. And I think that's what this new playoff is showing us. So a good standard, a good baseline, and maybe this is the strategy behind hiring the coordinator. Like, all we need to be is like a B-plus offense. And if we get the rest of it right, we can be a playoff team.
Yeah. And having the playmakers they have, and having Ahmad Hardy in that running game. I mean, Eli Drinkwitz can design a run scheme. I mean, the top 3 individual season rushing records at Mizzou history have been under Eli Drinkwitz. In Tyler Bidet and obviously this year with Ahmad Hardy, but oh, good God. Running back that is completely escaping my mind now.
Tyler
not Bidet. It was the fun white guy. The fun white guy from D2.
Oh,
Good.
Cody Schrader.
Thank you. How do you remember the Cody Schrader? Good God, I've got autograph of Cody Schrader and every. But those 3 guys.
A poor man's Cam Scatterby.
100%. Yeah, that's right. Cody Scatterby. Cam Schrader. But all 3 of those guys are the top 3 individual rushing seasons in Mizzou history. The guy can design a run game. It's just the quarterback needs to be figured out. Braden Gall is our guest, 440 Sports Podcast Network, Adlon Sports, ESPN Radio. Kyle Whittingham to Michigan. Is this going to work? Is this Michigan settling? Is this Whittingham not wanting to be a part of the private equity and whatever that may involve and saying, let me get out? Is this Utah pushing him out and Michigan being a nice landing spot? What do you make of the storyline surrounding Whittingham to Michigan?
I don't have, off the top surface level, it is a tremendous job. And Kyle Whittingham, as a personal fan of his, I've known him a long time. Like, he is, I'm so excited to see what he can do at a place like Michigan. If I'm Michigan and I'm going through the turmoil that I'm going through, I cannot imagine you hiring a quantifiably better coach than Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah,
so, like, on the surface level, I think it is almost remarkable that this is how it's ended up. Kyle Whittingham was, he'd already named a head coach in waiting. Like, he was close to retiring. Now, was he close to retiring like Bronco Mendenhall or Urban Meyer at Florida? Or like I never got that feeling whenever I talked to him. Like, I always got the feeling that this was, 20-plus years. Like, I've been around a long time, and Like I've kind of accomplished almost everything I need to. He never got to a playoff, but like he built Utah into a total juggernaut, and they were as good as any program in America relative to their expectations. I mean, like I would rank Kyle Whittingham as a top 5 coach in college football, like period. And I know that I'm kind of I'm a little biased here because I think the work he's done is remarkable. So again, on that level, I think seeing him resign or retire or step down or like actually fulfill the thing he probably been saying behind closed doors for years, which is like, this has run its course. It's kind of time. I'm set to ride off into the sunset. Oh, wait a second. Michigan is on the phone. Okay, honey, hang on. Put it on hold. I'll be there in a second. And so like, I don't know for a fact that's how this all played out, but that's my instinct is like, no, it's time for this to run its course. I might take some time off. Chris Peterson, that kind of thing, right? Like just step away from the game, and I've accomplished everything I really need to. I don't need any more to validate, my accomplishments or whatever. And then all of a sudden an opportunity to coach at, you say what you want about the current administration and situation. Like Michigan is one of the more prestigious places to coach college football, period, like among the top 5 or 8 or 10 in the game. So I could see that being a thing that changed his mind, and it makes perfect sense. Utah to Michigan is a normal stepping stone. And if I'm Michigan, I cannot be more excited. If I'm Michigan, this is a guy who absolutely 1,000,000% knows how to run a program. Like if I'm James Franklin, here's the thing. If I'm James Franklin, I'm kind of happy I'm not at Penn State anymore. Like I don't want to be embarrassed by 2 schools every year. You know what I mean? Because Whittingham is that good. Like I don't know how long he's going to be around or what his upside is long term at Michigan, but like I guarantee you week 1 next year they're going to be tough to play against. Like I guarantee it. So they're going to be extremely well coached. He's going to build a staff. They're going to build a culture. Like he just knows what he's doing. And phenomenal hire by Michigan. And I'm glad to see Whittingham on this side of the Mississippi at a premier program and see what he can do finally, because I want to see what he can do.
Yeah, he's not a guy that has never been this far east and doesn't feel like he doesn't fit. Like he doesn't feel out of place at Michigan, the type of coach he is, where he's always been Utah, BYU, everything west, everything out there is his entire life. And yet he's at Michigan. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah. It's not like, oh, that seems like a fish out of water. I'm not sure that's really gonna work there. Braden Gall is our guest. Let's talk about the quarterfinals.
One final note. Final note. Is it Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State all have an Urban Meyer protege off of the Urban Meyer staff, I think? Because Matt Campbell was on the Bowling Green staff in 03 and 04 with, I believe, maybe that was after he went to Utah. I can't remember, but I feel like everyone in the Big Ten now has someone who worked for Urban Meyer coaching. Yeah,
Whittingham did for sure, and Ryan Day, and that's interesting. Braden Gall is our guest. It's the Urban Meyer fingerprints all over college football. Why didn't Michigan just hire Urban Meyer? I mean, why go and get a protege when you can get the real guy? That's just smart.
The only thing that would be more fun than Urban Meyer at Michigan would be like Urban Meyer at like Auburn, I feel like, or something like that. But I don't know. Urban Meyer at Michigan is about as good as it gets.
I was thinking Urban Meyer at Ole Miss taking over for Lane and just seeing what that would look like. Braden Gall is our guest. Let's talk about the quarterfinals. Is there a game that is more likely upset? I mean, I guess Texas Tech is the dog in this one at 2.5. But let's go the other ones that are like touchdown favorites. Ohio State 9.5, Indiana by 7, Georgia 6.5. Does Miami, Bama, Ole Miss, any of those get a win?
Well, so it's funny. Like I was doing radio that night after all the semifinal, or the first round, we'll call them. Yeah. And I could feel it in preparation for the show, like after all the games that happened, and we were talking. I was like, I got to ask you the question, like, which one is the most likely upset of the 3? And my co-host, and this is national radio on the mothership, and I'm going like, the answer from everybody from now until New Year's Day is going to be Alabama. Yep. And you know who likes that more than anybody else? Kurt Signetti.
Google me.
And so we did like a whole segment about like, man, Bama's the pick here, but I am not picking it. And so I can't. It's hard to. There's glaring concerns with each of these teams. Like Ole Miss defensively is a major question, and they don't have their superstar coach. Alabama cannot run the football, cannot protect the quarterback. Indiana devours offensive lines. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Miami's quarterback cannot complete forward passes against good defenses, is completely inconsistent, and I have no trust in him and his ability to make big plays in the fourth quarter against an elite defense. So there are glaring issues here. My instinct is to say Bama because there's an injury for Indiana's defensive line in Daly, and that they've got a great defense and a really good quarterback, and they have an extraordinary roster. So the instincts say Bama. Ole Miss has the lowest point spread. They also came the closest to winning against this game. They almost, they probably should have won the game against Georgia. I just think Georgia's playing better football than everybody else. I want to say Miami because I think Ohio State, their offense has been stymied by good defenses most of the season when they play Texas and Indiana and Washington and Illinois. Other than the Michigan game, which is layered with a bunch of other stuff, their offense has not been nearly as explosive as last year. It's a really talented offense, but when they play good defenses, they had 203 yards against Texas. They got shut down by Indiana. Washington held them in check for most of the game. So a great defense, which Miami has, will stop and slow down an Ohio State team that, while they have two future NFL stars in Smith and Tate, they don't have the same depth of talent that they had last year. There's no Ibuka or Henderson or Judkins or whatever. And so I want to say Miami because they can get you into a game that's a rock fight, and all they need is we're going to grind the clock down, we're going to give the ball to Mark Fletcher, and we're going to make some plays. We're going to build an offense around one elite superstar in Malachi Toney, and then we're going to see what happens in the fourth quarter. But I don't have any faith in Carson Beck beating Ohio State's defense. That Ohio State defense is disgusting. So again, there's no real reason. You can make the case for all three, but on paper, there are such glaring concerns with the other three teams that are the underdogs that I really don't know. Texas Tech, I don't know about the offense scoring enough points because Oregon is totally comfortable playing any type of game you want. Mm-hmm. If you want to play a nasty, Big Ten Iowa game in the rain, they're fine with that. They can run the ball 45 times if you want. They're going to go for it on fourth down. They don't care. Oregon don't care, and I actually think Oregon is a sneaky pick to win the whole thing.
Interesting.
But it's really hard. I picked all four favorites on a preview show that I did today, 440 Sports. You can check that out, SEC Football Live, on the YouTube page and podcast app of choice. I'm picking all four if I had to make predictions, but what I'm really interested in is I want to see the wrinkles from the underdog coaches, and now that they've had time to prepare, what does that look like in college football? I want to know what the Belichick thing is, but in the college game. Is it Ryan Day being in the laboratory on offense, or is it Ty Simpson and Kalen DeBoer? Is it teams that already played last week benefiting? I don't know what the format's going to give us, and I'm really interested to see. Again, of all the people to make great adjustments last week, I cannot believe Miami is the one that made great adjustments at halftime. But Shannon Dawson did an excellent job. It certainly wasn't Cristobal, I imagine. So, I'm interested to see who pulls what out of what hat is what I can't wait to see.
Yeah, we've got all those games right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB starting tomorrow night at 6:30. Our coverage 6 o'clock with Miami and Ohio State. Braden, you're the man as always, brother. Appreciate it. As always, have a happy New Year. We will talk next week.
Absolutely. You too, guys.
All right, there's Braden Gall. Great stuff from him. Also, a little stadium talk in there as well, since Nissan Stadium there in Nashville, they're building a new one, so no longer going to be that stadium there in Nashville. But the quarterfinals getting ready tomorrow night, and only one of those spreads is under 6 points, and that's the Oregon and Texas Tech game, which gets things started on New Year's Day at 11 o'clock in the morning. The old Cotton Bowl, right? That's when Mizzou and Arkansas, I remember that one, Mizzou and Arkansas in the Cotton Bowl, got that one going New Year's Day early when it was Tony Temple setting the Cotton Bowl record. Take that, Michael Darcy. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Let's talk about, we'll get into one of our biggest stories. Michael, Sterling, and I have come up with the biggest stories of 2025. We're going to mix these in over the next couple days. We'll talk about one of those coming up next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock. Coming up at noon, we will talk with Myron Metcalf some college football. There is some news in the NFL.
Is it that I stole Shane's tea bag and it
What did Shane do to you?
No, I stole his tea bag. He's gone. I knew how you're going to try it. No, I knew it. I set it to how I wanted to where you couldn't cut it and make me look bad. I stole his tea bag. Okay. It expired in 2022, so if I die or get real sick during the show, we know what happened. We know what happened. Okay. But I needed to say that, or else if I start foaming at the mouth, that's why.
Okay, so Shane, teabag you. So,
Don't no.
What?
No, nuh-uh.
Sorry, I was reading something else. I just barely was listening.
His bag of tea. How else am I supposed to say it? This is a you issue.
You checked his desk. There was some tea there. You're feeling a little bit under the weather, and so you went ahead and made some tea for yourself.
Correct.
That seems easy enough. I don't know.
Just teabagged you.
No.
Well, you can go that way too.
No, he's not even here.
Yes, I do want to get into some of the bigger stories of the year. We're all going to go through and present some of our couple of our biggest stories from the year. But news in the NFL, which isn't great news. It's an allegation at this point. It's charges as well. Stephon Diggs in Boston has been charged with felony strangulation or suffocation and misdemeanor assault and battery stemming from an incident on December 2nd. That's a day after the Patriots played the Giants on Monday Night Football. His lawyer was in court this morning via phone. He made the remote appearance seeking to have the police report impounded, arguing that the details should remain sealed. The details of what took place with the charges that have been filed for him. DiStefano, the attorney for Stephon Diggs, also disclosed to the court that Diggs has made a financial offer to resolve the dispute with the alleged victim in the case. And he said, as we speak, they are working to come to an agreement on that. DiStefano said to the judge. The judge said she'd take the request under advisement, would issue a ruling shortly. The New England Patriots have released a statement in which they have said that the New England Patriots are aware of the accusations that have been made regarding Stephon Diggs. Stephon has informed the organization that he categorically denies the allegations. We support Stephon. We will continue to gather information and will cooperate fully with the appropriate authorities in the NFL as necessary. Out of respect for all parties involved, and given that this is an ongoing legal matter, we will have no further comment at this time. Accusations to Stephon Diggs from a December 2nd incident in which he is charged with felony strangulation or suffocation and misdemeanor assault and battery charges. That is now going on in New England. There is obviously the real life issue to that. Anytime we talk about some of these off the field things, the first and foremost part is the real life aspect of that. We say that out of the gates because that's the most important thing. And whatever took place, if it's not true, it's an awful situation. If it is true, it's an awful situation with that. So the obvious off the field stuff is first and foremost of what's taking place there. The on the field stuff, as it comes to sports, given we've already mentioned how important the off the field stuff is. So anytime we mention the on the field stuff, we've already mentioned the off the field stuff and how awful the allegations are there. But the Patriots are trying to get the number one seed and trying to make a run through the playoffs with Drake May, who's in the MVP conversation. And right now, it's not only a distraction, like Stephon Diggs is going to be playing. Like Stephon Diggs is one of the guys that people have talked about. You go through the incentive bets in the NFL. Like Stephon Diggs is one of the main ones that people are looking at. Like 8 more catches, he gets like $1 million or something this weekend. But the on-field aspect, Diggs is a big part of what the New England Patriots have done this year offensively and being a part there with Drake May. And if they lose him for any amount of time, that changes a lot for the Patriots. They're an awesome defensive team. We know that. They've also played the easiest schedule in the entire league. The winning percentage of the teams they have faced are a combined .336. The Patriots this year.
You can play who's on your schedule.
Play who's on your schedule, for sure.
They've won.
100%. 100%. They may end up with the 1 seed. They may end up with the 2 seed. We know they've already won the East. But this is obviously something when you're getting ready to go into the playoffs. The last thing you want to have happen to your team. It's also the last thing you want to have happen to one of your player if he would have committed this particular crime.
He is their wide receiver 1, and we saw what happened to the Steelers without DK Metcalf last week, or at least last game.
Yeah.
They were forced to throw to MVS 3 times in the red zone and on the goal line with game on the line. I mean, yeah, if we're talking just on the field aspects of this is a huge loss for them because their wide receiver 2 was who? Kayshon Boutte?
Yeah.
Pop Douglas? I mean, Mac Hollins, who's been, a fine player for them, he's on the IR, on the IR with what was it, a core muscle injury, or I forget exactly what it was. I mean, this would be a huge loss if he is forced to miss time too. Yeah, this is tough for them to navigate. And again, I have to go back to the Steelers because that's a little bit of what DK is better than Stephon Diggs, but the supporting cast around those guys are fairly similar. Those aren't dudes. It's not like, okay, you lose them and you still have, C.D. Lamb as your other guy or George Pickens. No, you don't have that.
Or Jordan Addison missing games and you got Justin Jefferson, even though you don't really throw the ball to him. Rashee Rice missing games, and you would think, in theory, you got Xavier Worthy, although he got injured. But, I mean, we look at it, what happened with the Chiefs when Rashee Rice had to miss 6 games. I mean, that sort of started this season on the path that it ended up going. When we say just a bad season all around, man. Just a bad season. And it started with Rashee Rice being suspended, Xavier Worthy getting hurt on the 3rd play of the game. And, everything that's happened since then, the bad timing turnovers, the close losses, the injuries along the way, the friendly fire. And then, of course, at the end, the injury to Patrick Mahomes and missing the playoffs and all of that stuff. But they had to try to figure out a way to survive without Rashee Rice the first 6 games. The difference is with this, I mean, Rashee Rice played last year until he got the ACL injury while the case was pending. I don't follow Dove Kleiman, and I've muted him, but it came across my timeline for some reason. I'm not sure who I know that follows him, but stop. But he writes here, there's a high chance the NFL will suspend him from playing in the playoffs pending an investigation. No, there's not.
Nope.
There's not a high chance that they're going to suspend him. They're going to wait till the case runs its course, and then they'll do their investigation. Then they'll figure it out. Now, when they have placed players on the commissioner's exempt list, it has been from domestic violence issues. So that could be part of it. It's not necessarily a suspension, but I do wonder if the NFL would go the route of suspending wide receiver 1 for the number 1 or 2 seed in the AFC with charges that are presented that may be dropped if there's a financial settlement met.
So, and again, just strictly on-field aspect of this, Stephon Diggs. So, Drake May thrown for 4,200 yards this year. He's been, in today's NFL, 4,200 is a large number. He's been great. Outside of Stephon Diggs, their leading receiver is who? Hunter Henry, tight end with 712. Their leading receiver, not named Stephon Diggs.
Is it Pop Douglas?
It is Mac Hollins.
Mac Hollins, wow.
With 550. 550, who's on the IR. Then is Kayshon Boutte with 527.
So how many people do you have to go down before you get to my guess of Pop Douglas?
Diggs, Henry, Hollins, Boutte, then Douglas.
Oh, yes, nailed it.
418. I mean, again, this is not a wide receiver room that is flushed with talent. And Drake May's made a phenomenal year, maybe an MVP type of season.
Yeah, he's in the right. It's him and Stafford.
With those guys.
Yep. So if you
lose Diggs, I mean, again, just on field, it is going to be a struggle for that team.
Yeah, an official suspension, even if that were to come down, he can immediately appeal. And then that appeal will take time. Like, he's going to be there, but...
It's the commissioner's exempt list that you're...
Right, because then it doesn't go on an appeal. Then you're just simply out. at that point. We'll see what happens with that. We need to take a timeout. That came across the timeline. Just wanted to that information in the NFL there. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Myron Metcalf coming up at noon. Music City Bowl coming up tonight. We will join that in progress at 6 o'clock, Illinois and Tennessee. And then 8 o'clock tonight, the Alamo Bowl. USC and TCU will be played in the basement of the Alamo. That's really cool. I didn't know there was that much room there in the basement, but apparently...
Well, there's actually not that much room, but they're going to make it work.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. You know, you can fit a bike in there. You can fit a whole football stadium in there as well. We're going to start going through some of the bigger stories of 2025, looking back today and tomorrow. Just the three of us and different stories that stood out for us that were bigger news in 2025, locally related, Chiefs. As I said at the beginning of the show, we're not going to include the stadium because that's clearly the biggest story of the year, and it's been talked about for a week. So we all agree. Biggest story of 2025, Chiefs moving to Kansas. I mean, that's for sports related. That's pretty massive news, pretty massive story. Michael, what's one of the bigger stories for you from 2025?
I think one of the more underappreciated stories is that after a rookie season where Kingsley Suamataia was slated in as the left tackle and that burned out 2 weeks into the season, he not only made a transition to a new position, but we don't talk about him because he's so good that the left guard is now a strength of this team. And, the offensive line's been dealing with injuries and inconsistencies, but he has been one of the constants. And with all of the, talk we had last offseason about the issues they had, not having to draft a left guard is a major addition to this team.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good one in terms of like underappreciated stories too, like bigger stories and then some underappreciated stories, because over the last month or two, we've seen a lot of Bears fans, at least that have come across the timeline, of Bears accounts or whatever going, can you believe the Chiefs did this? Can you believe the Bears fleeced the Chiefs for this? And they're showing Joe Thuney, who's a phenomenal left guard, okay? Joe Thuney's a better left guard than Kingsley Suamataia.
Yeah, he ranked out as like the number one pass blocking left guard in all of football.
100%. He's been a big addition for that Bears team, that Bears offensive line, and what Ben Johnson wants to do. That is obvious. But if you are moving on from Joe Thuney, and how can you possibly replace that man? If you're going to have as better or seamless of a transition as you can have, I'm not sure you could find a better one than what Kingsley has been, with all of the question marks for if he would even. He played one game at guard against the Broncos last year, and it wasn't exactly like, oh my God, he was so good.
And it was
at
right guard.
No, I think it was left guard. Was it right guard?
I think it was right guard.
Was it right guard?
That was when I think they sat Trey Smith.
No, right guard was left guard. He was at left guard because right guard was C.J. Hansen.
Oh.
Wanya was at right tackle, and Hansen was awful. Norzad was pretty good. Hansen was rough.
It was left guard last year. I just looked it up.
And then who was that? Who did they put at left tackle there? Because Thuney wasn't even the left guard.
Did we see like 3 or 4 snaps of DJ Humphries?
I think it might have been Humphries at left tackle in that game. Yeah, so we played the Chargers game in week 18 there. But it was just such an unknown. And even if we want to throw in the left tackle part of it and add it together, which we can get into that as a separate story, because that's been a story for the last few years of trying to figure that out. But if we get into the left tackle part of it, but the unknown about Kingsley, you're moving on from Joe Thuney, you're choosing Trey Smith over Joe Thuney. So how do you replace that? Feeling like you've got a guard for the next couple of years at least on a rookie deal with Kingsley, that's a pretty big development for this team moving forward in what has been a lost season.
So Chris Lindstrom's the best run-blocking guard in football, so it's a little unfair of a comparison I'm making right here. But looking at just the pass pro side of things, of one of the best, if not the best right guard in football, Kingsley's actually better than, I know it's right guard, left guard. Lindstrom's given up 41 pressures, Kingsley 31. Kingsley has 5 penalties, Chris Lindstrom 6.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not saying he should be a Pro Bowler, Kingsley, but he's on that cusp and that starting to trajectory-wise, a couple years. You tell me he's a Pro Bowler, I'd believe it. Kingsley has shown immense growth.
Yeah. That's a good one. We'll continue to mix in some of those throughout the show today and tomorrow of the bigger stories from 2025. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk some college basketball. Myron Metcalf joins us next. I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock. We're going to talk with Myron Metcalf here in just a little bit. He had the play-by-play on the radio, or color commentary with Matt Jones on the radio last week with WKU and Southern Miss, the New Orleans Bowl last Tuesday. So went ahead and gave that a listen as well. So maybe a little bit about that, but also talking some college basketball with him. And what is going on in the state of college basketball. Joining us now, Myron Metcalf from ESPN, benefiting Street Support KC when Myron joins us here in the zone on Tuesdays. Myron, what's up, man? How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I am doing just fine. How was your Christmas?
It was good. I mean, I gave more than I got, which is the norm.
That's good. Yeah.
But it was good, man.
There you go.
How about you?
It was good. It was good. Took some time off with the family in Louisville, just chilling there with the kids throughout the day. It was a lot of fun. It's the first time I've taken the entire week off while I've been there, so it was good. It was nice, and I appreciate the biggest story in Kansas City in a long time of the Chiefs moving to Kansas to wait till I took that week off. That was very nice of them. It was awesome. Good for them. Appreciate it. So nothing to talk about at all. But Myron, while I was there, I did tune in to a little New Orleans Bowl. Since my wife is a hilltopper, so tuning in and listening in to that WKU Southern Miss game. How'd you enjoy it? What was your takeaway and reaction and feel for doing the color commentary of the bowl game?
It was fun, man. I mean, anytime you get a chance to do something like that, first I just tried to enjoy it, which I probably couldn't really do to the second half, because you're sort of like, all right, I want to make sure you hit your stride. I mean, but to be in New Orleans, good bowl game, I just have a lot more respect, I think, for college football guys, man, because, the speed of the game was probably the thing that, I couldn't prepare for. It just was so fast. But it was just a blast, man. We really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was cool to listen to and to hear you guys that, hey, do sports radio, you do the shows, and you know what, let's go ahead and watch some games and mix in a college football game while talking around it as well. It was cool, and WKU came away with the win, so that's good too. Myron Metcalf is our guest from ESPN. All right, Myron, I want to talk about what has been a storyline and the last couple of days. And John Calipari weighs in on it last night with his roughly 7-minute breakdown and answer about Baylor's newest addition, James Najee, that enrolled at Baylor, 31st pick in the 2023 draft. Myron, what do you make of what we're seeing now? Is this trying to find a loophole in the rules? Is it what was always there anyway? It's just Baylor went and got the guy. Is this the future of college basketball? What are you seeing and what are you hearing and thinking about what's going on at Baylor?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Scott Drew. I don't know how anyone can. I think the guys who are trying to take advantage or see if they can get some of these guys eligible, I understand. The NCAA and the statement they gave to Jeff Goodman, it feels like the NCAA is saying, let the city burn, and then maybe somebody comes in and rescues the sport. And I don't think that's a great tactic, but it feels like that's where we are in terms of them seeking congressional intervention here.
Yeah.
I don't think this is where it started, right? We're doing this for American players with professional experience because we know these guys, but these international guys were pros in Europe.
Yeah.
There were players from Africa and Asia who were pros overseas. So I don't think this started. I think this is just sort of the maybe final moment of what's been transpiring in recent years. And I think something has to stop because I don't know how far we go. If you clear James Najee, if you clear guys who played in the league, where does it end? And it just, to me, is, I feel like it's changing the perception of a sport in one of our best years ever. And I wish we were talking more about A.J. DeBonta and Darren Peterson, whether or not he's going to get healthier soon, and Cam Boozer and all these great veterans you have. Instead, you got people who are kind of looking at our sport and feeling like it's a joke.
Yeah, and we're hearing different coaches weigh on as well. Tom Izzo, not too happy about it. John Calipari giving 15 different examples of what they can do. And the only lie that he told was at the end when he said, "I'm not happy that you asked me that question." You've been waiting to answer that question, Cal. Yeah. That's why you had 7 minutes ready to go. Come on, Cal. You knew he was waiting on that one. So that part was not true. But I've always felt that, when we look at college baseball and Major League Baseball, like, you can go through the draft in Major League Baseball and college baseball and then return to school if it doesn't work out. So I've always felt like, from college basketball standpoint in the NBA, like, what's wrong with going and testing the pro waters? And if you don't get drafted, then, you can return to school. And a part of it is, there's roster management. The coaches got to figure out who's on their team, who's not on their team. So we've got scholarship issues. And if you're going pro, then we know that this is past a certain date. So we know that you're gone, and we don't want to have to worry about you coming back and holding a spot open, even though I don't know how many big-time programs across the country actually max out their scholarships every year. It's usually like 10, 11, or 12, and then sometimes they'll give a walk-on a scholarship if they need to get to 13 or whatever the next number is going to be. But I look at it, and if he didn't play in the summer league, like, my issue with this is, like, playing in the summer league and being a part of that after being drafted. If he had been drafted and didn't sign and decided, no, I'm not going to go to the NBA, I'd feel more okay with this, because we've seen it in other sports, and I'm totally fine with it with college baseball and Major League Baseball. And I felt like the NBA should have adopted that, and the college basketball did adopt that at one point. This is the part to where I do think, Myron, it's a step too far of being able to play. I mean, he was part of the Karl Anthony Towns trade. Like, yeah. he was in the trade for one of the bigger trades that sent Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks, and yet he's now going to Baylor and playing in 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, if you just tune into the sport, all of a sudden you've been watching college football or NBA and NFL, and you just tuned in and you saw this, you feel like it was a joke, or maybe it wasn't real, but it's very real. And I'm with you in terms of, like, once you have pro experience, like, once you played, in the league and the G League, once you've been at that level, I just think that should be it, regardless of the circumstances. But you have an NCAA that's afraid of getting sued again. You have, the other factor here is, in terms of the world in basketball, you can now make the most money playing the sport anywhere outside the NBA in college basketball, right? Now, those EuroLeagues pay big, like the highest levels, right? Some of those guys are making big-time money. But beyond that, college basketball can compete with any other league in the world, not named the NBA, in the highest levels of the EuroLeague. So that's the other part that's happening here, is guys are like, well, wait a minute, you want to float around the G League, or you want to try to play college basketball and get the money that comes with it? They're not coming back for the degree. They're coming for the financial compensation. So it's like all these things are combining. The NCAA seems to have no interest in intervening. They're waiting for Congress to rescue the sport. Congress doesn't care. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but you turn on your 24/7 news channel, they got a few things going on in Congress right now. So it just feels like coaches are going to continue to push the envelope and just see how far they can go with it. And someone will, I'm not saying it'll work, someone's going to get a bona fide NBA player on a roster. I'm not saying they'll get cleared. That will happen in the next 6 months, because why not at this point?
Yeah. I when I turn on the news, I don't see people clamoring to release the G League files. That's not the not the files that I'm seeing that people want out there. Myron Metcalf is our guest. I do think, like, there's part of it that rings hollow to a degree from whether it's the NCAA or some of the coaches, not all of them, but some of the coaches, in that this was where, maybe not NBA players and summer league players and guys that were drafted, but this is where the college athletics landscape was heading when the O'Bannon case was going on. and the millions and millions and millions of dollars and time at press conferences spent fighting against any real sort of advancement in rights to the players, that this could have been figured out along the way, that guardrails put up, and here's the way we're going to do this with NIL, and this is going to be transferring, and some of the things that John Calipari talked about in his 6.5-minute answer. Like, some of those things could have been done, but they spent so much time, Myron, fighting it at every single part, spending millions in court to say, no, these players can't do that, and coaches coming out and, Dabo Swinney, I'll retire. I'll quit football when players start getting paid. Well, he did quit coaching this year. That's true for his particular team. But we had coaches come out and argue against it to that level. Some were on the forefront of this is the next wave and this is what we need to do. But I think if the energy had been put towards let's figure out how to marry all of those things, I think we'd be in a good spot, and it wouldn't be where the NCAA is afraid of being sued and the schools are just saying, well, let's go and get NBA players and challenge them to make him ineligible so that our state will then sue them or our school, and then they'll have to make him eligible. Like, we wouldn't be at this spot if they were able to read the tea leaves a little bit better of where the future of college athletics was going.
Yeah, so I know Ed O'Bannon. I don't know if you got a chance to meet him or talk to him, right? So here's what people don't know about Ed O'Bannon. National champion, right? A guy who did a lot of things in college and then even had a chance to play at the pro level. Ed O'Bannon has been harassed, by folks, criticized by people who don't even know who he is, because the NCAA said the reason that the video games went away was because of him.
Yeah, right.
Right? That's what happened. So Ed O'Bannon became someone who had to fight like this sense of bitterness almost, because the NCAA said he's the reason you lost your favorite video game. Now here's the culture shift. Jason, nobody said, wait a minute, why aren't we paying these guys? So I think what people got to look in the mirror and do is say, hold on a second, why is this a new narrative? Why weren't we in 1998, when Peyton Manning was clearly the most important athlete in college sports, putting people in the stands in the SEC, why weren't we saying that he should get paid? Why were we saying that about Michael Vick when he was filling stadiums and he was making everybody tune in to the national championship? Why were we doing that for guys like that? Why didn't we do that with the Fab Four? Why didn't we do that for all of the great teams across our sport in college basketball? So part of it is us, right?
Yeah.
Ed O'Bannon got blamed for seeking what was obviously compensation he was owed, and players like him were owed, and became the villain. And the NCAA was winning. The NCAA at the time was saying, listen, we can't pay guys. And guess what? We bought it in this country. We said, you're right. How is that going to work? And that, to me, was a part of it. As much as I like to look back 20 years ago and say, shoulda, coulda, woulda, there was not the cultural support to back that idea. You want to know what the NCAA spent? Almost $20 million fighting Ed O'Bannon, right? You want to know what those guys got from the college football video game who opted in? No more than $600 a piece, with the exception of the Arch Mannings and guys like that. $600. The NCAA spent millions to turn Ed O'Bannon into a villain rather than write $600 checks to athletes who deserved it. So as much as I want to blame the NCAA entirely for everything that's happened, and the coaches and the presidents, we as fans, we as stakeholders, we bought it.
Yeah.
Like, we bought what they were selling 20 years ago, and we were duped too.
Yeah, and I remember fighting against it, not against the Ed O'Bannon, but against the general consensus and commentary of, well, I mean, they're getting a college scholarship. Like, what more do you want? Like, this is amateur athletics. And my point was, we argue, like, capitalism in this country, the Venn diagram of those that are staunchly fighting for capitalism and then saying, no, every one of these players, no matter how good they are, deserve the same as the worst player on the team that's getting a scholarship. It's sort of like a circle. of like, no, capitalism, no. College athletics. No, we should take all of those players and they should get the exact same, no matter if one is the driving force of that team or marketing or somebody else. And I've always felt like, okay, should they be paid? Maybe not. Maybe they don't want to go down that road. But the guy who's the best player on the team is doing more for the school than the school is doing for them. And I think it also comes from a part of, well, I had to pay for college. This guy's getting a free, college education, and all he's doing is playing basketball. And it's like, Myron, yeah, you had to pay for college because you didn't offer the value to that college. If you offered the value to the college, they would have paid you to be on campus. They would have given you a scholarship. So that's your fault. I have student loans. I paid to go to college. You know why? Because Northwest Missouri State didn't view me and go, we really want Jason on our campus. We're going to pay him to be here. Nobody was going to do that. But there are a lot of schools that are saying, we want Arch Manning on our campus. It means a lot to have that guy. Chase Daniel at Mizzou meant a lot to help put them in, Big 12 and national championship conversations at the time. And those guys mean a lot, and KU basketball players mean a lot to those programs, more than just the average player. And that's sort of the point. It's, who is worth more for the school than what the other player is getting from the school. There are a lot of players, Myron, that the education and full scholarship is a phenomenal deal. It is amazing. And those guys aren't really getting the NIL money anyway.
No. And again, people went wild for what Reggie Bush allegedly received. He might be the most underpaid athlete in the history of college sports, considering his impact. Looking back at it. And here's the thing, man. The previous version, this version is obviously not perfect of college sports.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of issues, clearly, and there's a lot of things that have to be fixed. The previous version of college sports, from about the year 2000 till 2020, 2021, was the world's greatest Ponzi scheme. At the end of the day, everybody was making money except the guys who were doing the work, and we were all a part of it. Nobody cared when coaches started making millions of dollars. The first college football coach to ever make seven figures, Steve Spurrier, the year 2000. And from there, all of a sudden, coaches started making millions. No one cared. ADs were making millions. New buildings on campus. These studies that show when you have a good football or basketball team, that the admissions go up, that the applications go up. It legitimately benefits the entire university. And when athletes said, wait a minute, what about us? People said, no, wait your turn, you're getting a scholarship, all these things. So part of the issue now is not just we don't have a system, we don't have a president of college sports to fix all this. Part of it is this reality of how much money we were stealing collectively, and I'm talking fans too, from these athletes who are part of this multi-billion-dollar enterprise, and we're not getting a piece of the pie. Like, at the end of the day, that is still something that we shouldn't just ignore in this conversation. It's messed up. The portal, all these things are messed up. But I'm glad that you have guys who can jump in the portal and make $100,000 if that's what they're worth. And in the future, maybe that changes. But Jason, this cultural shift is a part of it, too. The fact that people fought this for so long is also why we're in this predicament. We don't have a right system. We don't have the right rules. We don't have the right leadership. At the same time, if we would have embraced what these athletes were doing in the first place, that would have been the starting point to move this all forward.
Yeah, and we know what kind of money that the athletes are missing out on, because that's what they're getting now. We're seeing that now. What
about before?
Yeah, what those players
are. The guys who weren't getting paid, man. How much money?
Yeah,
Reggie Bush? You kidding me? I tuned into games just to watch Reggie Bush. I don't know anything about USC. I just wanted to see him. What was he worth?
If Indiana beats Bama, like, what's Fernando Mendoza worth to Indiana?
Exactly.
I mean,
can't pay him.
Yeah, that's so much money for IU. He's meant a lot to Kurt Signetti. I know that in his contract extension. Myron Metcalf is our guest from ESPN, benefiting Street Support KC. A little college basketball, actually, with conference schedule starting this weekend. The three local schools getting in action, Missouri hosting Florida, and then KU heading to UCF, K-State. hosting AJ Devanza and BYU. That's a CBS game on Saturday at 12:30. That should be a fun one. I wanted to get your thoughts on the non-con. Looking back now of the things that have taken place, I know you guys went and did a re-ranking about a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, you and Jeff Borzello of the freshmen. But is there a development of the non-con that you've seen from teams or players, or maybe it's this, I don't know, but the biggest development of the non-conference season that we've seen in college basketball so far as we're getting ready to start the rest of the sort of country starting conference games?
I don't think you'll be in the second weekend unless you're an elite defensive team. I mean, I think that's what you're seeing across the country. I mean, just the teams have gotten so much better defensively. I think that to me is unique. If you go to KenPom and you look at the top 30 teams, I believe 90% of them are top 30 in defense right now. Like you have a couple outliers like your Alabamas and teams like that, and Texas Tech. I don't think has been great defensively, but if that's not where you're starting this year, you're going to be in trouble. I don't care what kind of talent you have on that roster. So I think that to me is what you're seeing in these first couple of months of the year, which is why, again, as much as you look at a Kansas team and talk about what they don't have, and Darren Peterson, and I heard another Bill Self monologue. Like every time I see Bill Self, Darren Peterson, I'm like, all right, tell me what this means, man. I still don't understand. But that's still an elite defensive team, and I think that'll put you in a position to win multiple games in March. However, if you don't have that right now, I think your team's in a lot of trouble to get into the tournament, and then especially to try to win a game or two.
Yeah, that is interesting looking at these top teams. Defensive rating 1, 2, 7, 3, 16 with Purdue. They're also number one offensively, but then 5, 4, 14, and then you go down in Michigan State 8, and then Kansas 6. So yeah, right there when you're talking about those defensive ranks. Myron Metcalf from ESPN, benefiting Street Support KC. Myron, you're the man as always. Enjoyed listening last week. Enjoyed listening this morning as well on ESPN Radio, on ESPN Kansas City here with you on the show. Thank you so much as always, man. Happy New Year to you and yours, and we'll talk next week.
Same to you, man. Happy New Year.
Absolutely. There's Myron Metcalf. Great stuff from him as always. He's from ESPN College Basketball Insider, college football color commentary. I mean, just come on. And morning show host as well with the ESPN. Is just doing more and more there at ESPN. Is expanding, and people are getting to know more and more of Myron Metcalf. And it benefits Street Support KC when he comes on the show with us. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to hear from John Calipari. He went on his 6-minute and 40-second answer to Baylor getting cleared James Najee, who was the 31st pick in the 2023 draft and played in the summer league, and then went back overseas and played professionally, and now is cleared to play at Baylor. John Calipari weighed in on that. We'll hear from that. We'll also get into some of the bigger stories of 2025, and we'll continue that as we roll along here on this Tuesday edition of the show at Sports Radio 810 WHB. All right, so there is some breaking news in the NFL.
Ooh.
You have not seen this yet, Sterling.
I have not seen this yet.
Great. Michael and I were just talking about it. So, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, that's a team.
Yep. Are waiving cornerback Trevon Diggs. Sources confirm Diggs, who signed the 5-year extension worth up to $100 million in 2023, tore his ACL, has struggled into play, was a cut candidate this upcoming offseason. They have decided to go ahead and waive Trevon Diggs. Remaining contract, 2026 non-guaranteed of $15.5 million, 2027 non-guaranteed of $20.5 million, 2028 non-guaranteed $21 million. If he clears, Dallas then is on the hook for the dead cap hits of $12 million this year and then $6 million next year for Trevon Diggs to waive him.
He's played in...
I do wonder what the,
21 games since 2022.
What are the cap implications if somebody were to claim him? Because right now the Chiefs would have the 9th spot in waivers.
It says that any team claiming Trevon Diggs would be responsible for his remaining $472,000 guaranteed game check this season. That makes it likely he clears waivers and then will become a free agent.
Okay. I was just thinking, like, if you claim him, throw him in the mix, and then does that give you an out of whether not signing Jalen Watson or trading Trent McDuffie or something like that?
You can't trust Trevon Diggs.
I know.
Man. Again, he's been perpetually injured.
Yeah.
He's
lied to me multiple times. I can't trust him.
He's had 2 great years, but that was 21 and 22.
Yeah, and that's when he signed a big contract.
He's one of those guys that even at the time there was a conversation of how good is he really? He gets all these interceptions, which obviously massive. But it felt very Marcus Peters-esque, where it always goes, well, if he's not getting you an interception, he's a liability back there. And I don't know. I've gone back and forth because, again, when you have 11 interceptions in a season, that's ridiculous. That's insane. But let's say the next year he gives you 3 and he's giving up big plays in the back end because he's gambling. Well, is that worth it? That doesn't feel like a Spags defensive cornerback. Spags doesn't really care if you turn the ball over. He cares if you get burnt. That seems to be the most important thing in the Spags defense.
Yeah, it's been one heck of a fall from grace for Trevon Diggs. So both Diggs brothers are having quite the day.
Probably not the best.
They cannot wait for 2026 to get here. The Diggs family. If you missed it earlier, Stefon Diggs in very serious issues. He has been charged with felony strangulation and misdemeanor assault. His lawyer appeared in court today and arguing for the details and the police report to be kept private, and said that Stefon Diggs has already offered a monetary settlement with the alleged victim, and they are currently negotiating to come up with some sort of a deal. There you go. Some real serious issues with Stefon Diggs, and Trevon Diggs now looking for a new team. So rough day for the Diggs family, just I guess overall with that. But obviously some very serious things going on with Stefon Diggs. 913-912-4810. We talked a lot in the first hour about Bijan Robinson and the difference that he made for the Falcons and how that would impact locally, or some commentary. We got into a lot of that. If you missed it, check that out on the podcast. It was a fun hour talking about the Chiefs and best tactics this offseason to maximize what your draft position will be and the value and what you have in cap space and all of that.
And then again, as someone who's more anti-running back first round, I had some pretty fun, I thought, with numbers where the cutoff is for is there value or not, and where the Chiefs would be drafting. The hit rate is exceptional in the last 10 years.
I want to hear this from John Calipari. This is a very long answer for Cal. And Scott Drew and Baylor have James Najee cleared to play. Again, 31st pick in the 2023 draft. It's what we talked with Myron Metcalf about. Not just the fact that he was drafted, he also played in the Summer League that year. He was also included in the Karl Anthony Towns trade. So, I mean, he's been traded in the NBA multiple times, by the way. And now he has been cleared to play at Baylor because he technically did not play in an NBA game. And he's still within 5 years from high school, so he can start his 5-year clock now, all of the different details there. So, John Calipari was asked about this last night, and here is Cal's answer weighing in on the latest NBA player to return to college.
Well, look, I don't blame coaches. You know, I've got friends that are playing with 27-year-olds and they feel bad. I said, don't feel bad. We don't have any rules. Why should you feel bad? But let me give you this. Real simple. The rules be's the rules. So if you put your name in the draft, I don't care if you're from Russia and you stay in the draft, you can't play college basketball. Well, that's only for American kids. What? If your name is in that draft and you got drafted, you can't play because that's our rule. Yeah, but that's only for American kids. Okay. Now, here's the next lawsuit. Well, we don't have a say over European players. You do if they're playing in college basketball. So that means you don't have a say over high school kids. So whatever a high school kid does before he comes here, don't you do one thing because there's a suit. Because what you're saying is, if he's in Europe, we don't have the same rules. What? If he puts his name in the draft, he can't go to college. He left his name in. Well, that's different because he's European. Okay, you're not doing anything with a high school player then. We don't have any jurisdiction over a high school player, do we? We don't. So, when they come, you just got to say, all right, now they're here. The other thing, the eligibility. Again, real simple. You got 5 years to play 4. If you stay at the same school 4 years, we'll give you a 5th year. If your coach leaves or is fired, you can transfer without penalty. You can do it once, and if the coach is fired or leaves, you can end up doing it twice. But after that, you got to sit out. You can transfer, but you got to sit out. Does anybody care what this is doing for 17 and 18-year-old American kids? Do you know what this opportunity has done for them and their families? There aren't going to be any high school kids. Who other than dumb people like me are going to recruit high school kids? I get so much satisfaction out of coaching young kids and seeing them grow and make it and their family life changes that I'm going to keep doing it. But why would anybody else, if you can get NBA players, G League players, guys that are 28 years old, guys from Europe, do we really know their transcript? Do we have somebody over there? Do we really know their birth certificate? Or don't we? And then, there's no... Look, Tommy Izzo, Mark Few, there are a bunch of us that are just... We got no rules. Why did they let that kid play? Tell us all. Here's what the reason. Then we'll all go get pros. We'll go find them. Here's my second thing. You ready? No one listens to me. I told you. My wife, I talked to her. She's not even listening. She got ear things in, and I didn't know. I'm talking to her. You ready? Mid-season, unless you're in the school. This is an easy rule. We can do this, NCAA. Don't tell me about lawsuits. If you join a program at midseason, you cannot play that season. If you're in school and have to get yourself eligible, that's okay. You can play the second term without playing the first. What? So now, let me ask you this. What does that do for the kids in the program that you're bringing kids in at midseason when it was their opportunity? I mean, I just don't get any of this. And again, Tommy, Mark Few, myself, we got my son, their sons are in this. I just want to help it before I'm out for my kid. I'm very selfish. But it's for that. But this stuff here, I just gave you what we could do. I'm going to give you one other. The collectives on our campuses, whether you're doing it through your media people, whatever, cannot be involved in recruiting in any way or transfers. But if a kid's on your campus for a year, give them what you want to stay. So we'll get more kids staying. How about this? It'll be great for them academically. They'll probably make more money, but they'll be academic. We're not going to have kids leaving after transferring 4 times. What's the percentage of kids that make the NBA? Unless you play for me. What would be the percentage? Like it's like 1% or less? That means 99% of the college players that are getting money, it's fugazi. Fugazi. Because they're getting 400, 500, 800, a million, and they're not pros. So now they have to go get a job after 4 stops. No college degree. No loyalty from the state or the program or anybody. You were a mercenary. Okay, now you got to go get a job. I don't care what a kid makes. It doesn't. But I do care what we're doing to young people. If all these kids could make $4 million, I don't care. But what we're doing by letting them have transfer at will. Transfer once. Coach leaves, you can go twice without penalty. But other than that, you got to sit out. Because now you get 3 years at one school, you're going to get a college degree. You can't be 30. You got 5 years. Clock is ticking. If you go pro, I don't care what country you're from. You leave your name in. You cannot play college basketball. If you transfer mid-season, can't play. You got to sit out. How about we just do that stuff? We can do it without having Congress and the Senate getting 60 votes. We can do that. Let them sue us on that stuff. I wish you wouldn't have asked me that question.
Now, everything that Cal said there, I think he really believes except for the end. I wish you wouldn't have asked me that question.
I think he was kidding. I think he was being facetious.
Oh, I know. He absolutely wanted to be asked that question. He's been waiting.
That was fugazi, you know what I'm saying?
Fugazi. All of that money, it's fugazi is what it is. So, yes, there's a very long answer from John Calipari about the state of college basketball right now with James Najee at Baylor being cleared. It's not the first time this has happened this year, though.
That was electric, by the way. That was.
Yes.
I started off, by the way, just real quick. I started off thinking, I wish Dennis Gates wouldn't say that because that means he's never going to try and recruit and take advantage of the dumbassery that is allowed right now. But then I ended it by being impressed with all the things he went through, the understanding, and again, he's a big enough name that people will listen. He's won enough that people will. I think
but the problem is people will listen, but the NCAA doesn't care right now. The NCAA is trying not, as you said, trying not to get sued. So yeah, we'll clear this
soft.
Guy. We'll clear Najee. We'll clear Thierry Darlin at Santa Clara, and clear London Johnson at Louisville, and clear the different things. Like I've felt for a long time though that if you put your name in the NBA draft and you don't sign with that team, if you're drafted and you don't sign, I do think you should be able to return to school.
Cool.
We're fine with Major League Baseball players doing that. That is never something we're like, how dare this player return to LSU or Florida after being drafted in the second round by this team and didn't sign. No way.
Does more players make a difference to you? The fact that baseball, you have at least.
I just think it's you chose to go pro, then go pro. But I'm okay with them choosing to go pro to see where they're at. And if they get drafted and it doesn't work out, then what? They aren't pros yet. Why should I take the the amateurism or, quote unquote amateurism, college eligibility away when he hasn't signed a contract with the NBA yet. So he hasn't done that. He hasn't signed a contract with Major League Baseball. He returned to school. Okay, he's not a pro yet. He was drafted, but he's not a pro at that point. The rights were given to that particular player because of a CBA in which he's not even a part of at this point. He's not a part of the CBA because he hasn't signed the contract. So I'm okay if they decide to return to school and do that. Where it gets murky is then being a part of the Summer League, being a part of some G League things, and then being a professional overseas. And where I do find myself going back and forth and arguing with myself at times is in this one. I'm like, man, he played in the Summer League. He played against Victor Wembanyama. Like, this guy is a pro. He was drafted. But I also don't think if you were drafted and you don't want to sign that you should lose college eligibility. But I also am not upset that London Johnson and those guys got cleared by playing with the G League Ignite and some of those other teams, because we have been clearing European pros for years, and now we're going to say American players that played in the G League cannot go back to college because they were here in America.
I think
but if they were from Europe, we'd totally clear them. It's all good because it's sort of out of sight, out of mind. I don't like that differentiating between where you're from.
Sure.
American-born, you can't go to college if you played for the G League. European-born, you can go to college if you played at the highest level of European basketball pro.
I think it's because a lot of those guys, they're 16 playing professional basketball.
I agree.
It's what else are they
Right.
supposed to do?
That's fine.
There's no other option a lot of times for those guys. I'm with you, but I just think European basketball, fair or not, and this is the perception of it, it's not the NBA. They're just not as good. The leagues just aren't as talented.
Well, neither is the G League, right? I mean,
that'd be a fun conversation to have. And I don't know. This is just me spitting.
Yeah,
Is a G League, would the G League dominate? The Italian league or the Slovakian league or the Croatian league?
Probably.
I think some of the highest levels, though. I think some of the highest levels of European ball
It'd be close.
is pretty good.
Oh, I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
That's not the argument I'm making. But I think that's the viewpoint of,
Yeah.
well, I mean, what are they supposed to do? Is that the equivalent to their college? I don't think it is. I think a lot of those leagues are better. But the point still remains. I think that's the viewpoint held by some of these folk. Yeah, I don't know. I view European different. If you're 16, you playing at Cologne College? Are you playing like where are you playing? Are you playing at Oxford?
Yeah,
because
they don't have college sports; they have club.
So it's different, and so there's no way to regulate it necessarily.
I just have a problem with differentiating between, and I get it. There's a difference between the European model.
Like if you're 22, then and you've played there for 5 years. But when those guys are the high school age, they're, was it like Luka playing when he's 16 in Slovenia? I'm like, well, yeah, where's he supposed to play?
Well, let me ask you this: if you started playing with the G League at 16 years old, because you have a different choice, because you have different, so because I can see where it's okay in the United States, you have different options. You can play high school, you can do that. If you have different options, once you choose the G League, you've chosen professional basketball. Whereas in Europe, okay, you don't have the options, and it's not as easy as like, well, why don't you just move to the States and play high school ball or play for some academy that's going to be, a basketball. A training ground to go and just win a bunch of high school games.
And foreign students have to have different requirements just academically to get accepted to come to college. So there's definitely a line that both college basketball and academics can kind of come together.
I just have an issue with, and I know there's difference. I get that. I acknowledge that. Stipulated totally. Agree with your argument. It just still have an issue with domestically born players being held to a different standard of getting paid professionally than European-born players that are just like, he played professionally. Like he's 20, 21 playing professionally, no big deal. He's still within 5 years of graduating high school. We can clear him to go and play in college basketball. This guy played in the G League. Not going to do that. Although, they have cleared London Johnson and Thierry Darlin at Santa Clara. So they've gone the route of G League players. This gets an issue because this player was drafted.
Yes.
In the NBA. And that's where it's like, I don't have an issue with that with Major League Baseball and I don't have an issue with that with the NBA. It's where I disagree with Cal on that, where he says, kept his name in the draft, can't go to college. I disagree. Kept your name in the draft. You were drafted. You didn't want to do that. You felt like college was a better choice for you. You didn't sign. Go to college. Go back to college. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. And then, the last part I feel like is it's a way of making the players out to be like bad guys, and transferring means they are throwing the rest of their life away. When he says, you're going to 4 schools in 4 years and you've got no loyalty, you got no loyalty to this school, no loyalty to that, then you're graduating, you don't have a degree, and now you got to go get a job. You were a mercenary. If you were a mercenary and went to 4 different big-time schools in college basketball in 4 years, or college football, you're probably graduating or leaving after 4 years with a lot of money if you were a mercenary. Whether you've got a college degree or not, you're leaving there with a better nest egg than almost every other college graduate will leave. In fact, a lot of college graduates leave in debt. That person's leaving with a lot of money there. So I feel like it's a way of shaming of like, well, now go get a job. You just transferred and you went to 3 places in 3 years. Hey, Trey White at Kansas. Good luck getting a job after you're done with Kansas, mercenary. You're at your 4th school in 4 years.
He might be the outlier, though. I think.
But why is he the outlier? Because he went to Kansas?
No, because it looks like it's going to work for him. I think there's a lot of guys that it does not work out for. I think a lot of guys. But
it's a blanket statement of like, you're a mercenary, try to go get a job now.
No, I would agree. And Trey White is, again, the 1% of.
He seems like a great dude, by the way.
Awesome. We interviewed, we talked to him at.
Bill Self last night was asked, sorry to interrupt, this was a little anecdotal story that I thought was interesting about Trey White, but he was talking with Brian Haney at the coaches show, and Brian Haney asked the camp that they did for kids at KU yesterday. There were 500 kids, and he said, is there a player, all these players were good with the kids, but is there a player that stood out that you were just watching from afar, like that guy really is connecting? And he goes, Trey White. Trey White. Everybody was doing, he's like, but Trey White, there was just something about his connection with the kids. Seems like an amazing dude, and you're right, might work out. But he's also on his 4th school in 4 years. Yeah. So if you don't know anything about him, you would go, mercenary, this guy's got no loyalty to anybody, and he's just going to go wherever the check is going to take him.
Who's going to hire him?
Right. Why would you hire him? No KU alum would want Trey White to be at their company.
I just don't think it works out the way that for the majority of players. Yeah. I mean, who was the 3-point shooter last year for Kansas? Who was
Timberlake?
Where's he at now?
I think of AJ Storr a lot.
AJ Storr.
But he got money to go somewhere else. He
did.
He got a lot of money to go to Kansas. Now he got money to go somewhere else.
A lot of guys
got no loyalty, but
they don't make the money, or they don't play, and it doesn't work out the way they thought it was going to. Yeah. No, because I think a lot of players, and I think it's how you get to this level, you value yourself more than other people value. You think that you are a star no matter where.
Or you listen to the wrong people.
Or you listen to the wrong people, and then now you're screwed. And that's the issue I have. Yes, it's always going to work out for the 1%. Trey White is part of that, the 1%. Mm-hmm. But I bet
he's part of the 1% just by playing at a level like Kansas.
No, 100%. But I'm saying of the people that transfer that many times, most eventually end up going to lesser and lesser schools. Things don't work out, and you say, "Well, dang, I was the 6th man at Duke, and now all of a sudden, I'm struggling at
whatever.
I don't know." The Delta Devils or so, Mississippi
Valley. Or I was the 6th man at Duke, and now I'm the star from Mizzou. And Mark Mitchell,
and again,
it could be that.
But that happened after his freshman year?
Yeah.
But even to Jason's point, these kids aren't paying for school. They're making some money. Yeah. They're coming out in the top 1% of college
That's not what I'm arguing. The point I'm making is that I think that the majority of the people who do that much, you'll look at their bios of where they've gone, and a lot of them, I think you'll see maybe their sophomore year they're at this major Power 5 conference, and then by their senior year or 5th or 6th year you find them playing, and oh wow, that's a huge drop off. They misvalued, and that's the issue I have. It's not with the 1% of it. It's that I think a lot of people think that they're going pro, they're this stud, they're this star, and then it turns out it ends up hurting them, I think, in the long run.
I don't disagree with that. I absolutely don't. I think there are a lot of people that have made mistakes in the transfer portal, especially the smaller levels, like Division II transfers and things like that. Like, you transfer out of a Division II school thinking you're going to go somewhere else. there ain't a lot of spots open, and coaches fill those quickly. And it's like if you transfer from here, you might go to anywhere you want. It just ain't going to be here again because your scholarship is going to be filled quickly because we got to find those. There are a lot of dudes that transfer from Division II that never play football again or basketball, and that's part of that story.
I think basketball maybe even more than football, and maybe I'm wrong here. I just think basketball is just one where I've noticed it more. Football, it seems like maybe you transfer once and that's it, like Kwan Lacey, right? And maybe we'll find.
There's a lot of football players.
I guess Bo Perbula is going to be a couple. But
Virginia's quarterback's on his fourth school.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe quarterback's the one that's the difference maker here.
He went to Oklahoma, TCU. I thought he went somewhere before Virginia.
But is that mostly quarterback? Like I'm trying to think of a lot of other
quarterbacks
spots.
are mercenaries.
Quarterbacks are mercenaries. I'm trying to think of other positions.
Yeah, it might be
that really
quarterback might be the main one
Maybe
that goes
skill
from
positions
school to school.
like wide receiver.
But I don't know that there's wide receivers that like school to school to school to school. You know, like again, like is it Chandler Morris? Is that his name at Virginia? I forget.
It's quarterbacks and coaches.
It's quarterbacks and coach. Like Lovett went from Mizzou
Could he have been
to
all-time
Georgia.
quarterback?
Yeah,
he should have played all-time quarterback in that game. And I think Mizzou wins if Morris is all-time quarterback.
But again, I just go back to I think it will work out for the 1%. But I'm with Cal, and I think that's the blanket statement. Unfair.
Yeah.
But again, the blanket statement of I think in the long run it does hurt a lot of kids who maybe are getting bad advice, and the next thing you know, the grass isn't always greener.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll tell you what, for a company, if you got a kid that's been to like 4 different high schools and 4 or 5 different colleges, and it's like this guy shows no loyalty, or that kid's cultured. That kid, he's got a lot of experience to bring to the table. Huh? It's just the way you spin it.
A lot of contacts.
A lot of contacts. This is the way you spin. This guy's been all over the country. Okay, he's got an ID. He's got contacts everywhere. This is a great hire, depending on if you were alumni of that school that he finished at or not. Wrapping up this hour. That's fun. It was a good discussion. Thank you, Cal, for that.
It's
we'll get into
really bad for high school seniors. That much I do know.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't really. It does fall on deaf ears to me when it's a college coach saying, this is terrible for these high school kids. Okay, so don't take transfers. So if you want to fight against that, then don't take transfers. Well, I mean, I'm just saying the general high school.
Try to win.
Yeah, the general high school. I've got to do this to win. I'm just saying the general high school kid that it sucked. Like, why would I recruit high school kids then? I also loved what you noticed when he's like, what, 1% of the guys that are going to, if they don't play for me, 1% of the guys are going to go pro.
Yeah. Smart move.
For sure. We'll get into some of the bigger stories of 2025 next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, college football playoffs, quarterfinals starting tomorrow night. We've got it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Miami and Ohio State. And then on Thursday, the triple header, 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock, with the Oregon, Texas Tech, Bama, Indiana, and then Ole Miss, Georgia. All on ESPN, all right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. So all 4 of those games in the quarterfinals you can hear on your home for college football, college basketball, and as Todd Lebo said, everything that's really good is Sports Radio 810 at WHB. A couple of bowl games coming up tonight. Music City Bowl, Illinois and Tennessee. We'll join that one in progress after the program. And then the Alamo Bowl, USC and TCU will be playing tonight at 8 o'clock. Again, right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We've been mixing in different stories from the year, 2025, in the bigger sports stories from the year. And all weighing in on a few of what we thought were the biggest stories, omitting the Chiefs moving to Kansas with the stadium because that's the biggest and it's been talked about. Sterling, what's one of yours that you've looked back on and said this was the biggest development story on the sports side in the area?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger ones for me was the emergence of Michael Garcia coupled with the contract extension that he received, locking up the left side of the Royals' diamond for a long, long time. I think we were wondering, who is Michael Garcia? Where does he fit in the future? Is he a super utility guy? We went into last year. I know I did. I thought maybe you put him in center field, left field. I was like, do you make him an outfielder? And the thought is, no, he is a third baseman. He is one of the better third basemen in all of baseball. Defensively, he is probably, second, third best defensive third baseman. And the only guy you would say is ahead of him is Cabrian Hayes, who can't hit at all. Cabrian Hayes is probably the best third baseman defensively. Yeah. But Michael's right behind him.
He's not threatening for a silver slugger anytime soon, Cabrian Hayes.
And Michael Garcia won a Gold Glove last year. His outs above average was in the 98th percentile. Sorry, don't want to sell him short. On. I mean, Michael blossomed into an all-around player. I guess part of me is still going to be a little bit of, who's the real Michael? Is he a 800 OPS guy, or is he more of a 750 OPS guy? I think either way, though, the question is pertinent, and the question that I have is, I don't care either way. Mm-hmm. I think a 750 OPS, even at a premium position like third base, where you would like to have some pop and some maybe a higher OPS, is good enough because the defense plays the way it does. I do think he's a guy who had a bad year on the base paths for him, but I do think overall there's enough of a track record to say he's going to steal more bases and get caught stealing fewer times.
I think that's a good one. I think that's a really big development for the Royals, and one of the bigger stories, you're right, about what Michael Garcia did, because that left side of the infield is solidified for a long time now. You've got third base and shortstop taken care of. Gold gloves, dual gold gloves on the left side, which is awesome. You've got a bat that plays over at third base with Michael Garcia, with the defense that he has. And I think part of that development that you mentioned is signing the extension. It's also the Royals signing a young player to a contract extension. Like, how often did we see that under Dayton Moore? Not too often. You waited till they got to the end of arbitration eligibility and they were done going into free agency, and then you give Alex Gordon $100 million. Or you can't pay Hosmer, or you offer a qualified deal or whatever to Moustakas, who turns it down, and then he ends up returning for a little bit less money, and that's how you get Moustakas past arbitration eligibility. But signing those guys early on to keep them around Kansas City past the arbitration, past free agency years, at least for one or two, and they did that with Bobby Witt, and they've done that with Michael Garcia. They bought out the arbitration years of Cole Reagans so that is cost controlled for what they know it's going to be. It's a little bit different of doing business of, we're going to take care of the younger guys. That makes sense, and get it locked up. And whether it's maybe taking a chance on this player turning out to be or staying the player that he was this year, maybe it's taking a chance, or maybe they feel like they're getting value right now because this player is that guy. And next year, if he wins another Gold Glove, it'd be much more expensive. Like Bobby would have been more expensive after finishing second in the MVP voting. You're not giving him the contract you gave him right before that MVP candidate year. I think that's a huge development for the front office and the ownership group of spending money on some of the younger players.
Yeah, again, he's 25 years old. The underlying metrics, they look good. I mean, again, squared up percentage, the chase percentage, the whiff percentage, the strikeout percentage. He puts the ball in play. As far as if you want him in the first or second in your lineup, he can do that. If you want to put him a little lower, if you get some other top of the line guys in your lineup, you can move him down to 5, 6, 7, and he's going to play there. 16 home runs was a nice surprise from him, especially for a guy who I don't think tries to hit home runs. I think he tried in 24 and hit 7. I think last year he didn't try and hit 16. There's a lesson there. His bat stays in the zone forever, so even when he's struggling, he's never going to have, in my opinion, just a brutal stretch. He got on base at a 351 clip. That's good in today's Major League Baseball's walk percentage is 62 percentile, which is very good for Royals. Royals players don't walk, and that is good. He's above average in walk rate, which again bolsters his regression potential. Yeah, overall, just everything that Maikel Garcia did, coupled with the contract, you're just absolutely thrilled by. And I like the fire he brings. I know he's I don't know what the leader. Vinny is like the talking leader. Bobby's the by example leader. But Maikel has the fire that I think this team needs, and that you see sometimes when you look back on the 14 and 15 team. It was hey, we're not taking bleep from anyone. Maikel was the guy that gets into it with Jazz Chisholm. He's getting into it with the New York Yankees. He brings the fire in a way that I think this team needs. They need someone who can provide that, and he does.
And I think part of it too is the leadership aspect. I think is interesting because one of the things that I think Salvi brought to the table was that he was so respected with the Latin players, with the Royals, that if you came to the Royals and you were a Latin player, you were following whatever Salvi was doing. You weren't going to step out of line if Salvi was there because there was that much respect for Salvi among the Latin players. Salvi ain't going to be here very much longer. So is there a transition for somebody that can be the leader of the Latin players? Is that Maikel Garcia as another year or two earning more respect around the league, being a guy who can be a leader, a fiery guy or whatever, that if you bring in a Latin American younger player, okay, well, Maikel Garcia is right here. This is how you do it. This is how you go about your business. Also, credit to him. It's not easy to go and learn a different language. And he's clearly put in a lot of work to be able to do the press conference in English that he did. That's not easy. And also one little quick point about the progression of Garcia. From 23 to 24 in playing a full season, 23, 24, and last year. Walks, 38, 42, 62. Strikeouts, 115, 103, 84. They're both heading in the right direction. I mean, he dropped his strikeouts by 20 and increased his walks by 20. I mean, that's a 40 walk strikeout ratio difference in 1 year, and it's been heading in that direction. So 62 walks last year and 84 strikeouts was pretty good, and that's where you get that 350 on base percentage. Hopefully that can continue to that degree. Here's J.J. Piccolo talking about Maikel Garcia and putting the overall offseason puzzle pieces together and Maikel being locked up now and being a part of this team for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, in this case, I would say, Maikel was part of our team, but I think it's a clear sign from ownership, the support we're getting, the belief in what we have on the field, the commitment to trying to win year in, year out, sustain winning seasons and get to the playoffs and ultimately win a World Series. So when teams make commitments like this to players, I think it's a clear indication that we're going to take care of our players. When they do things on the field, we're going to recognize it and try to keep them longer than the 6 years that we have them. And it just settles things as well for us. There's certain things we're not going to have to be overly concerned with, and that's a great thing.
I'm trying to think back. What was the line that Vinny Pasquantino used about J.J. Piccolo buying at the trade deadline when he said we're letting younger players know like what we're doing? Did he say that was a baller?
It was baller, or something like that. But again, players recognize that, and I think even players from other teams recognize. If you're around 500, it's showing that, hey, we're not going to sell. How many teams sell or sold in those situations? The Diamondbacks, did they make the playoffs last year?
No, they sold. Did they make the playoffs after? Boy, I mean that.
I gotta look it up. I'm sorry. I was thinking of
playoffs happen without the Royals, and then the Chiefs are playing. All that blends together, man. That runs together.
They choked down the stretch. I forgot about that. They choked.
Yeah. Okay.
They went 80 and 82, but they sold hard, and they were 500. They were where the Royals were at, right? If not better, and they sold. Trying to think of some other teams that were around those. Milwaukee. 97 and 65, and they had a few pieces that they were kind of moving around. I mean, you just look around, and all these teams that were selling, and the Royals were saying, you know what? No, we believe in our guys. I do think there's something to that. The belief in the players, the belief in whether that's the right move or not, I think long-term, that is something to at least monitor. And again, the contract's given out to these guys. If you're a player and you see Michael and Bobby getting his extensions, that has to. You think Carter Jensen's not excited, or Jack Caglione's not excited about seeing that?
Yeah, and if those guys do what they need to do, then they can get taken care of. If they are providing the value that the Royals look at and say, this is somebody we want to be around for a while. Like Vinny, I mean, honestly, Vinny may just be year to year through arbitration, and when he's done, they may at that point decide it's time to move on, and you figure out what else at first base, whether that's Jack or something else. Or they may get to the end of it and go, this guy has developed to the point to where he's a 30 home run guy every year. He's gotten so good at first base defensively as he continues to improve. We need to sign this guy too because of what he is in the clubhouse, what he is as a player, the guy who is as accountable as anybody in the area really for, professional sports. I mean, he's as accountable as it gets is Vinny Pasquantino. Maybe he's a guy that they then look at, or if they just simply go year to year. But it is not a blanket refusal of, look, we are going to try to put this all together at one time, and they're all going to go through arbitration together, and they're all going to be done with their arbitration together, and then we're going to have to go and do it again and tear it down and build it back up to where, no, we want to sustain this thing. And how do you sustain this thing? You sustain it by signing younger guys that, yes, it's a risk. If Michael Garcia turns back into 2023 or 2024, Michael Garcia, well, then you're overpaying him. That's the risk. But if he stays like this, you're getting your value for Michael Garcia and the message and showing that you're not just going to be a team that's going to play the arbitration game and then, go and let that guy go, and then we need to replace him with another draft pick or a prospect because we're never going to pay that particular player. I didn't know that they were ever going to pay Bobby. Like, legit, like they're going to try to, but why would Bobby Witt sign with the Royals when he can make so much more money and they're just going to have to trade him at some point? Year 4, year 5, they're just going to have to move him and see what you can get back for him. Like, that was a real shock to me and vote of confidence to me of what the regime and the ownership is willing to do now moving forward with some of their young stars.
So I thought this was awesome by Vinny, just along the lines of accountability and just the realness that he provides, which is refreshing. So a Red Sox fan tweeted at him and said, today is day 45 of asking the Red Sox to trade for Vinny. And Vinny goes, appreciate the support, but your dream just died. Someone else on Twitter goes, you're a KC lifer, Vin. Let's get the extension done. And Vinny goes, 1.5 WAR corner guys don't get those. Got to keep working.
I mean, that's pretty. I mean, again, this is the value that that you appreciate a whole lot more, and you're willing to get behind that guy and root and hope that he gets that extension and hope that he gets that money because an acknowledgement of, I got a 1.5 WAR. I'm a first baseman. You think I'm getting a big contract extension, man? I gotta go and earn that thing.
It also feels real and genuine.
Yeah, it's
which
a good call.
I think that's the big distinction because you can say whatever you want to say on Twitter, but a lot of guys secretly believe, no, I am worth that and more. But I genuinely think that he believes he needs to be better.
So it went on. Maybe one of these days, WAR stops hating on the first base position, and Vinny goes, or just play better defense, run the bases better, and have a better OPS. WAR isn't out to get me. Wins above replacement. I don't know about WAR itself, the active WAR.
I mean, what is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. Yeah. We learned that. We learned that in a song.
Yes, that's right. I read about it in a book.
But I just, to me, I thought that was refreshing. I thought that was awesome. That was badass. I thought it was a guy who just
Baller.
A baller, a guy that gets it. And it's, again, a guy that you want to have and watch succeed because the accountability that we've talked about perpetually, it feels like, is there. And that's the leader you want. It's not an excuses business. It's a results-oriented business, and he is out there looking for the results.
I think, too, that, also he was a 2.4 WAR guy last year, but,
He's selling himself short.
I know.
Unless he was looking at B WAR versus F WAR. I don't know which one he was looking at.
Yeah, BOR or FWAR. What about GWAR?
That's a band.
Why don't we look at GWAR?
Do you actually know that there was a band or not?
Yeah, no, I do.
You did know. You did. I'm surprised.
You know why I know that's a band? From Empire Records, the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked that you knew that. So.
Right, I don't want to mess up my voice there trying to do GWAR. One of the stories that I had written down, I was just going and brainstorming of all the different stories of 2025. And so I'll throw it in with this. It wasn't one of the top stories for me, like top 2 or 3 or anything like that. But I'll throw it in with this because it was at least on the list of things that I thought were big developments this year. Michael is a great one. One of those that was on my list to go along with the Michael was Bobby having a season backing up what he did in 2024. That the Bobby Witt Jr. potential MVP candidate wasn't a 1-year run and then he regressed to being, he's a good player. But, is he now Gunnar Henderson? Really good player, yeah, but not the level of MVP votes. Remember, it was Julio Rodriguez and Bobby Witt. Then it was Volpe and Gunnar and Witt and who's the best shortstop in the American League. And it's he's the best shortstop in baseball. He's getting the platinum glove at shortstop and gold gloves and silver sluggers and finishing, in the MVP voting and the MVP race. I think having a season where he bursts onto the scene in 2024 and, finishes in the MVP voting number 2, gets his first gold glove, wins the silver slugger, makes his first All-Star game, and then he comes back in 2025, gets another gold glove, gets another silver slugger, gets the platinum glove, and finishes 4th in the MVP voting. You could have, he won the batting title at 332. And then, he fell off and he only batted 295. Okay, is that the bad season for Bobby? Is dropping back to a 295 hitter instead of a 330 hitter in baseball? Some of those numbers, weren't there the way that they were, before. And I wonder if some of that is him pressing through the season to try to be the MVP guy. No, I'm the guy that finished second in MVP. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I batted 332 last year. Why am I only batting 260 right now? So then you're pressing and trying harder to be the guy that you were last year instead of just chilling and being yourself. I mean, he still ended up with 7+ WAR last year. Still ended up with the league leading
he was
in
4th
doubles.
in MVP.
He didn't win the batting title, but he won the hits title. Back-to-back years, he led the American League in hits.
And most doubles.
Yes, and doubles. It just wasn't translating to some of those home runs and things like that. And he had more stolen bases last year than he did, the year before, with less caught stealing along those. So he improved that part of his game. He improved the base stealing part of his game. Defense is still top level. So he's still being that guy. I think Bobby Witt backing up and having back-to-back years where he's top 5 MVP, I think is a big deal. You gave him that contract. He went out there and finished second in MVP to prove that he was worth it. Then you go into the offseason. He comes back again, and he puts together another top 5 MVP season. That left side of the infield doing that is pretty big for this team moving forward. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. I do want to talk a little bit about what the Colts decided to do and how that relates to the Chiefs or doesn't. And also, Matt Nagy is on his head coach campaign that started last night. We'll talk about that as well next.
Missouri, if you've not heard by now, you are doing this on purpose. Why do you not listen to me? Because FanDuel Sportsbook is live in the Show Me State. They're kicking things off with an incredible offer. Extremely tough to beat because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets, win or lose. Yeah, baby. New customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets, win or lose. So whether it's football, basketball, hockey, or more, you can bet it all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So right now, college football playoffs. You think I'm not going to go and throw a little something down on the college football playoffs? You're out of your gourd if you think I'm not doing that. So I am doing that. And I'll be on the Missouri side. Oh, no, I'm on the Missouri side. Doesn't matter anymore, baby. I can bet it live right there. So download FanDuel today or head to FanDuel.com/Missouri to join in on all the excitement. Because Missouri, it's time to play your game with FanDuel.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
Don't look, Sterling. I am going. No, don't look back.
I can't
look,
see.
Don't look back. All right, look at me. Look at me.
My eyes are closed. Tell me when I can open them.
Look at me.
Are you the captain now?
Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now. Do you want an update on the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl? I mean,
Yes.
Okay.
That is the only thing I've been wondering this entire day.
Coastal Carolina is all tied up in the first quarter with Louisiana Tech in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl.
Dang, and Louisiana Tech winning this game.
Oh man, yeah, that's I had them winning by like 2.75 points. So there you go. I've always been a big fan of Radiance Technologies too.
Do they have a cool
and
mascot?
Independence.
Is it like the Pop-Tarts?
It'd be so cool. It's the city of Independence is the mascot. Like they just all Santa Caligon just goes and shows up. That's the mascot. Is they
Harry
just have
Truman.
they just have a big carnival there. It's great. Yeah, everybody should have like a crazy mascot. What was the baked beans? The Bush's baked beans, and
The
it was
mayo was
Keegan Michael Key.
fantastic.
It was there, and he was embracing it and like eating it and everything. Just
I am a big baked beans guy. Big
Yeah.
bean guy.
I like yeah. Roll that beautiful bean footage, right? Remember that one? That was the
No.
old. You could use that for slogans on Thursday on New Year's Day. I think that was Bush's baked beans with the dog. It was a secret, but then the dog was there. and
We're
it's
not
like,
working on New Year's Day.
what? I was told that you're working on New Year's Day. I'm not working. No, we're not working. We've got the college football playoff going on. 11 o'clock in the morning. That's when we're starting our coverage. 11 o'clock in the morning with the Oregon and Texas Tech quarterfinal game.
Which, why is Oregon still favored?
2.5.
I like Tech in that one.
I'm all over Tech. Too.
Yeah,
That might
me
be
too.
bad that I like Tech. So if you are a Tech fan, sorry, but I think
Mahomes is pissed right now. All of the Texas Tech fans in town are so mad.
I think Tech's a better team, and I've been a supporter of Oregon as far as like I think that they even with the weak schedule this year,
Yeah.
I thought they were a good team. But man, Tech to me just they feel complete.
But it's funny, asking Braden Gall, like, outside of Oregon and Texas Tech, because you say which one is the most likely upset. Well, that's a 2.5 point spread.
Yeah.
That's the most likely upset is Texas Tech beating Oregon. But the other spreads that are 6.5, 7, and 9.5. What's the most likely underdog to win?
Ole Miss.
Yeah, I don't know. But his response was the popular immediate answer was Bama over Indiana. And I'm like, I feel like all year I have, and that's why I picked Indiana to win against Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship, because every step along the way, I'm like, all right, so the bubble's going to burst for Indiana here. Okay, last year was awesome, but this year, come on. Oregon's going to roll Indiana. Okay, come on. Okay, Indiana won. All right, Indiana's going to lose here. Nope, they won there. So going into the Big Ten Championship game, I'm like, I'm picking Indiana to win because people keep doubting them. By people, I mean me, and they keep not only covering, they're winning. So they're going to go and win this game in the Big Ten Championship, and they're going to be the number 1 seed. And now here they are against Bama. They're 7-point favorites.
I think that's the least likely one for me
Really?
for upset. I think Indiana hammers Bama.
I mean, I'm hammering Indiana because I think Indiana's continued to be, a team that has not, even though they're number 1 undefeated, but because it's Indiana, and they went to the playoff last year, it's still a team that it's hard for somebody to go, yeah, no, I totally believe in Indiana. Because it's like Kurt Signetti, Mendoza, this offense, but it's a team that is really good defensively.
Yeah.
And Bama can't run the ball.
Yep.
And they have trouble protecting the quarterback. And Indiana gets after quarterbacks. So, I mean, I like Indiana in that game as well. I don't think Ole Miss is going to.
I like Ole Miss offense. I really do. I think the defense is atrocious. Tulane, I know they scored 10 points, but they moved the ball up and down the field a lot against Ole Miss. Georgia will move the ball up and down the field a lot against Ole Miss. That to me feels like a potential shootout. I
think Georgia's the best team remaining. That's why I
think it's Indiana. I think Indiana.
Indiana's the best team remaining?
Yeah, I think IU's the best team. I think Georgia is 3. I have IU and Ohio State as better than Georgia.
Big Ten homer. Yeah, I've always said you Mizzou guys, Big Ten
funny,
homers.
I'm not at all. I just think that those two teams are very, very complete. There's something to me that I am taking into account that I probably shouldn't have. But with Lane Kiffin leaving and all of his bleep posting still on Twitter, hilarious, by the way. I find it very funny of all of the yoga stuff, all just constantly posting like hilarious things. I think Ole Miss is there is that rallying around factor. You see all the time in the NFL, like Jeff Saturday got a win.
Yeah.
Remember, coaches get canned, and then the next guy comes up, and they rally around for a few games, and it works. And I do think there's something silly about that, where Ole Miss is rallying around the DC, who's the new head coach. Maybe that's dumb. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe it only worked 1 week against Tulane, but I'm going to ride. I'm going to go with Ole Miss over Georgia in this one.
Not only just covering, like winning.
Outright, yeah.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah, I'm going Tech to slight upset over Oregon, Indiana to cover against Bama, Ole Miss outright versus Georgia, and then Ohio State. I don't know about I'll do cover. Ohio State cover against Miami.
Yeah, I got Miami covering against Ohio State. I think that's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be hard to cover 9.5 when. I mean, they held Texas A&M to 3.
I don't think
Miami's defense is well,
I tell you that's
Miami's defense is
hyperbolic.
Yeah.
That they're not good, but just I thought A&M again. Some of this is my Mizzou bias of the games I watched.
Yeah.
So when I
Your
watched
love for Big Ten.
No, when I watched Mizzou play Bama, if Mizzou can be a 3-point loss to them, and if Missouri had a quarterback, I think they win by a touchdown in that game. I mean.
I think they win if they had a quarterback.
I think so. I think that, watching what Mizzou did against A&M, I was not really impressed. I was at the game in person. I was like, they just took advantage of Missouri's dumbassery of Zollers fumbling the ball for some reason, of the most obvious fake punt situation ever going to happen that they took it. I mean, it was just Missouri being silly.
It's weird. 4th down, they took Ahmad Hardy off the field, and then somebody else ran it.
And so
it's odd they do that.
And again, the A&M, credit them for taking advantage. I just never thought that they were that good.
God, I didn't realize you hated Colin Klein.
I don't think Miami's that good either.
Offensively, they have trouble because they've got an amazing playmaker. They got a quarterback who's incredibly overpaid, and they've got an awesome defense.
It feels like a 21-10 Ohio State victory, 24-10 Ohio State win, and that'd be the cover.
If Miami's going to win, I think it's going to be closer to that A&M, like 10-3, 10-7, 13-10, something like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Miami is going to be able to do much offensively against Ohio State, but I also think Miami's defense is going to keep them in the game.
I'm going to look it up. What is the Ole Miss Georgia over-under? Because I feel like the over feels like something.
It's a sideways 8. It's odd.
Pulling up
What's
FanDuel. No,
What's
I bet it's
that simple.
Before I look, I'm gonna guess like 42.
42.
45. 45.
You're guessing 45. Okay.
How do I get to the?
I know what it is. You want me to tell you what it is?
55.5. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I was off. I figured that the books would be like, 2 SEC teams.
No, you think it's going to be more of a shootout, and they're
I don't know about
right
55.5 though. Yeah, that's pretty steep.
Yeah. I mentioned as we went to break, the Indianapolis Colts going a little bit younger, novel concept. While the Chiefs are out of the playoffs, and all they have to play for is a draft position and pride, or as Chris Jones says, the name on the back of your jersey. That's what you have to play for, which was, odd. But because I guess if you play for the name on the front of your jersey, you do want to lose this game. Playing for the name on the back of your jersey, the eye in the sky is always watching. But we want them to commit, and we've wanted them to commit. Last week and against Tennessee, to commit to playing younger players. And they have a little bit. McDonald played with Leo Chenal out, and Ashton Gelati is playing the second most reps of all the defensive ends behind George Karlaftis. So those guys are getting some reps. It's just we would like to see Jalen. It's Jalen Royals and it's Jeffrey Boston, it's Brashard Smith, players like that. It's three guys. You'd like to see them, invest a little bit more time to see what you really have in them. The Indianapolis Colts are out of the playoffs now. They went and signed Phillip Rivers because they still had a chance to make the playoffs. And it didn't work out. They lost games. I said they were going to lose out the rest of the way. They've lost out the rest of the way. But now that they're eliminated, you know what the Colts have done? They've benched Phillip Rivers, and they're playing Riley Leonard because they said, well, we want to see what he has. We can't make the playoffs, so we want to see what Riley Leonard can do out on the field. That's fascinating. That's really amazing. Why would you want to do that? Well, is Riley Leonard going to be your starting quarterback next year? No, he's not going to be your starting quarterback, But still, they'd like to see what they have in the rookie since they drafted him.
Might be the backup.
Might be the backup. Well, okay, Chris Oladokun is doing that too. Yeah, because Gardner Minshew got injured. That's why Oladokun is playing. Like, if they're that out of it, it's like, we talked about Gardner Minshew maybe playing for a job next year in these final 3 games when he was getting ready to start for Tennessee. Like, that's what Gardner Minshew is playing for, is an opportunity to be the backup quarterback next year. So let's see what you have in Gardner Minshew. But also, if you get to the point of where you're really out of it, like, okay, Oladokun only plays in preseason games when he's got a bunch of backups out there anyway, and he's trying to make, chicken salad out of chicken bleep, and, let's see what he can really do. I want to see what he can do with a full week against the Raiders, but why draft Jalen Royals and Brashard Smith and Jeffrey Bassett and not see what you have in them? They will be back next year. Mike Edwards playing a snap in this game is a waste. Juju Smith-Schuster, love the guy. Playing a snap in this game over Jalen Royals is a waste. He may or may not be back next year. You know who is back next year? Jalen Royals. Mike Edwards may or may not be back next year in some role. You know who is back next year? Jaden Hicks. Right? Brian Cook may or may not be back next year. He's a free agent. But what I know, Jaden Hicks is going to be returning next year. I know Bossa will be back next year. Cooper McDonald, they clearly like him, undrafted free agent. That's a find.
Probably back next year.
Probably back next year.
Probably
and he's
over
been
Jack
playing.
Cogburn, honestly.
Yes. And so, he's a guy that, is on your team and is playing. Brashard Smith, Pacheco is not going to be back next year. Kareem Hunt may or may not be back next year. I'm fine if you bring Kareem Hunt back in short yardage situations. He's got a real skill. All right. He's got a skill that offers you something in that situation. But I know Brashard Smith's going to be back next year. And so if you say he's going to be back as a wide receiver, then play him at wide receiver.
Well, that was going to be my conversation with you. Is
Brashard Smith the guy that they wanted Sky Moore to be?
Well, and also,
they're both wearing 24.
If Brashard Smith is a wide receiver, then why have they not activated Dameon Pierce?
Yeah. Right. I'd like to see Dameon Pierce activated this week. I don't need to see Pacheco run the ball. Dameon Pierce, Brashard Smith, and if you don't think Brashard Smith is your running back, then Dameon Pierce, see what you have in him. Like, they couldn't do this last year with Tyquan Thornton because they were trying to win games. I guess they could have in Week 18, but still, you're trying to win games because you're trying to get the number 1 seed. This year, they've got that opportunity to play Dameon Pierce. The Colts are out of it, and they're going, Riley Leonard ain't going to be our starting quarterback next year. Hopefully Daniel Jones can be back for them. Is it Anthony Richardson? Do they go a different route? Maybe it's Riley Leonard. Or they could go, well, Phillip Rivers is healthy. Why would we not play him? We're trying to win the game. The Colts are saying we are not doing our best to win the game. You know why? Because what they felt was their best shot to win games was with Phillip Rivers at quarterback. And now that they're out of it, they are saying our goal is not to go out and do whatever we can to win this game. Our goal now is to see what we have in certain players, like a Riley Leonard, in an actual game where we're game planning, where the Chiefs have spent the last 2 weeks going, our goal is to win this game, and they've lost. Both of them. They gave the Broncos one hell of a run.
Yeah.
And maybe that feels good, and you got that moral victory around the office. I bet that feels great at the practice facility. Walking around in the film room. Guys, we almost beat the Broncos. It was so cool, guys. I bet Nick Bolton is just cloud 9 because they almost beat the Broncos.
Guys that have won Super Bowls.
Oh, I bet he's loving it right
thrilled.
now. Creed Humphrey's just driving around with the top down in 10-degree weather because he's so pumped and excited about almost beating the Broncos. I bet that's going on there. Or they lost. The one thing I will say about that particular game is, the offense obviously has to be better. It's a really good defense. And Chris Oladokun is, I think, part of the conversation in the offseason, what he can bring. While I would like to see Andy Reid and the offense and go, you know what, let's spread it out. Let's see what Chris Oladokun has. I do wonder if Andy Reid actually viewed the Broncos game, and this is where I'll give benefit of the doubt from this standpoint. If he viewed the Broncos game as an actual tryout's not a great word, but audition for the backup role. We're going to create a game plan like we would if you were starting for us in a game. We're not going to open up to see if you can throw the ball. We're going to create a game plan to see if you can go out and execute our game plan to try to win the game by defense, some big plays here or there, and you not losing the game for us, because that's what our backup quarterback is probably going to do, because we're not going to go and spend $3.5 or $4 million on Jimmy Garoppolo. We're not going to spend $4 million on what Malik Willis is going to, demand.
He might
now.
be more than that now.
And those guys are going to want opportunities to start.
Flynn, he's Matt Flynn in this thing.
Matt Flynn, the whole thing. Are you going to go out and spend that money on that guy, or are you going to go pay? Does Carson Wentz get more money for what he did in Minnesota? And it's like, well, they should have stayed with Carson Wentz. Well, he got injured. Well, Carson Wentz would be the quarterback right now if he didn't get injured. Okay, did he earn himself some money? Paid him $3 million, but whatever. Gardner Minshew's not the guy, because you can't go through the offseason going, he's our backup quarterback while recovering from an ACL injury. So you got to go a different route. And I do wonder if maybe there's at least an outside chance that Andy Reid approached the Denver Broncos game and said, offensively, we are presenting this as a game plan against one of the best defenses in the league with our backup quarterback. How can we develop a game plan to win this game? Because we might have to do that in week 1 or 2 with a backup quarterback. That could be Chris Oladokun. So let's see if he can go and execute the game plan. Do not put your team in a bad situation. Don't turn the ball over. Don't be the reason you lost the game. We need to scheme and figure out how everything else can come together to take up the rest of the mission of winning the game.
And by the way, wouldn't you also imagine that he's worked more with Oladokun, worked more with Royals and Smith?
Yeah.
Wouldn't he have?
Yes.
Realistically speaking?
Right. Yeah. I think the game plan on Sunday, if Kelsey plays, is to throw the ball to Kelsey.
I would. If this is his last
10 catches, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Here's my takeaway. If they
Don't you look at me like that, Michael. Take it to the bank.
Give him 15 to 18. Why not?
If they target him 10 plus times, it's his final game. If they target him 5 or less times, he's coming back. If it's 6 to 9, I'm on the fence.
Nice.
That is my take. I'm not kidding. You think I'm joking?
I think you're joking. I don't think you're joking.
If he gets 14 targets, I will say this is his final game. If he gets like 4, that's me thinking he's coming back.
Well, I think that, I thought about this going into the game. I'm like, if he sits, then he's coming back. Because he wouldn't want to sit that game. Like if he said, but Andy Reid's already said that he's playing. But if he goes out there and plays the whole game, well, that guy's retiring. This is his last go about. Like if he had 2 more years left on his contract, if he's 31 years old, is he going to go out there and put everything, like play really hard against the Raiders to try to get the 7th win? Or is it like, Travis, you've got an extra year and change on your body of postseason play. You can take another week off.
If he gets 7 targets, I am going to be so confused.
Yeah.
I'll have no idea what that means.
It's 50-50. Could go either way.
4, coming back.
Yep. 10
14,
targets.
He's done.
10 targets,
7?
retiring. 14 targets to him on Sunday. You're thinking at the podium he should announce that he's retiring.
Because that'll be the obvious, like,
Yeah.
hey, you got 14 targets, man.
Yeah.
This was the
Makes
going
sense.
out party.
Yeah, makes
Those
sense.
Raiders linebackers are going to be so pissed when he's just going crazy on Sunday, and they're just like, can we just...
I'm going to ladder Travis Kelce and
We're
lose
just
so
trying
much
to go
money.
to Cancun. We're just trying to get out of
I'm
here.
gonna
Last
ladder
week,
Kelce.
2 at home, and then
10 for 50 yards, 10 for 60 yards, 10 for 70 yards, 10 for 80 yards, 10 for 90 yards, and he ends up with 35.
That means he's coming back, baby.
It's the emotional hedge. Is that what it is?
It's the emo hedge.
You said targets.
Yeah, it's
Just
true.
because he only has 35 yards receiving doesn't mean that he only had 4 targets.
14 targets, 30 yards.
14 targets, 5
3
receptions.
catches, yeah.
I mean, could be. I mean, who knows? So there's an element of let Oladokun go out there and just open it up.
Let him
and
cook.
Let Oladokun cook, right? Or let the younger guys play while also developing a game plan in this game that you would if you're playing the Raiders in week 1 or 2 of 2026 and Oladokun is your quarterback. I'm okay with that too. Does he go and execute? Does he do the things that Andy Reid and Matt Nagy want him to do as a quarterback? Because what's the backup quarterback in Kansas City going to be? You're not going to go and sign somebody that's one of the best backup quarterbacks because those guys typically want to be a starter, or at least an opportunity to be a starter.
I've seen Kyler Murray, and I'm like, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
Those guys,
Kyler Murray.
Those guys want opportunities to be a starter.
Yes.
And so your opportunity to be a starter is not going to be in Kansas City.
Phillip Rivers.
There you go. Yeah, could be old Crimea Rivers, maybe. So if you're already having cap issues and you probably don't need to spend $4 or $5 million on a backup quarterback just in case he has to play the first couple of weeks, and if Mahomes is going to miss a lot of time after that anyway, then what's the point? Then it really doesn't matter if Mahomes isn't going to be playing. So it's like, you need a backup. What if Mahomes misses the season? I don't care about who the backup quarterback is. It doesn't matter at that point.
If he misses the full season, which I would.
Then I don't care who the backup quarterback is. Let Oladokin cook and get the first pick.
Kyler Murray.
Let Oladokin cook and get the first pick if he's not going to play next year at all.
Noah Gray start a quarterback.
Let's do it. Let's see what. Let's get crazy. There are no rules. Put your shirt on. There's one rule. Keep your shirt on. It's the only rule here. Okay. But like, what do you want your backup quarterback to be? Don't lose the game for you. And if Andy Reid and that coaching staff are so smart, shouldn't they be able to scheme up some things for your backup quarterback to do in the game while finding a way to win with defense, special teams, and enough on offense without the quarterback killing your team and being the reason you lost? You don't want your quarterback going out there and being a gun. Like, I'd be fine because of the fun thoughts of Jameis Winston being the backup quarterback. Jameis Winston also can go out there and lose you a game by throwing it to the other team a couple times.
I'm okay with that.
And that would be fun. It would be one hell of a ride. And even if Mahomes plays from game one and Winston is here as the backup, oh, hell yeah. Sign me up.
That's best case scenario.
Sign me up. Then you can get in that would help Mahomes because it's like, hey, Patrick, we're just going to have you as the Wednesday quarterback every other week.
We want to hear from Jameis.
We're going to get Jameis this week. You got it next week, Patrick. And then it's Jameis the week after that. So we're taking half the games off your plate, Patrick.
Patrick is through the game-winning touchdown. Chiefs win. Jameis, what was your takeaway? What was your perspective of
eating W's? Let's hear from Jameis. I'd be totally down with that. But I think the Chiefs will look at it and
the
say,
horses go into battle.
He can line up as a receiver too.
Let's do it, man. Let's
that catch and run was electric. Yeah.
See,
I'm in.
You probably want your quarterback not to lose you the game.
No, Jameis, I'm in.
Yeah. What's Oladokin 24 of 38 on the season so far? 24 of 38, 270 and a touchdown and no interceptions in the two games.
Oladokin, more like Borodokin. Give me Jameis Winston.
It's so stupid, but I'm good with the Winston. Okay, we'll take a timeout and come back and mercifully end this one. So next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Last segment of the show here on this Tuesday. Back tomorrow with the final show of the 2025 year. We'll go through some of our other bigger stories of the year locally tomorrow. I do think Matt Nagy has started his head coach campaign, and Dan Pompei from the New York Times / The Athletic has a very extensive behind-the-scenes look into Matt Nagy as a, quote, coaching candidate, as a head coach for some of the openings, maybe specifically Tennessee, and Mike Borgonzi. And he talks with Matt Nagy, he talks with Andy Reid, he talks with people from Chicago, he talks with former players with the Bears. It's an in-depth look at Matt Nagy, and I don't know if this was Dan Pompei's idea or if this was Matt Nagy's agent's idea of reaching out. And the gist of the story is, how much did you learn from being the Bears head coach? And what do you take away from that if you're going to be a head coach somewhere else? And the way it reads is, boy, this guy's ready. This guy's ready to be the next head coach. He learned so much from being in Chicago that the next place he goes, they are better for it, for having gone through what he went through in Chicago. And it also talks about he and Mike Borgonzi's relationship together, as, you know, Tennessee may be looking for, or is looking for, a head coach, and maybe specifically looking for coaches with head coach experience.
So I've said I thought he was a fine coach in Chicago.
Yes.
He took the Bears to the playoffs twice. He has a 34-31 record with the Bears. And, oh, by the way, his quarterback was Trubisky.
And then Fields.
Again, I'm not saying that he's a insanely talented the best head coach in NFL history. No. But I thought he was a pretty good coach in Chicago, all things considered. I was surprised when he was fired.
Yeah, it was a really good art. If you haven't read it, I would suggest go and check it out. It's a really interesting read about, you know, the Chiefs OC and what could be the Tennessee Titans head coach. And also, you know, looking back at the time and signing on for Justin Fields to be drafted as long as he didn't play the first year.
Yeah.
And then injuries happened, and he had to play, and he wasn't ready, which is exactly what Nagy said, was that he wasn't ready. But at that point, what can you do? He's thrown in there. We also know, even if he was ready, he wasn't good enough.
He wasn't ready.
Yeah, he wasn't ready.
He's still not ready.
Still not ready. So, interesting stuff. I think there might be some more about Matt Nagy coming out the next couple weeks.